Man.
In Texas and Indiana.
Yeah. Okay. Looks like we're live. Let me make sure everything... Hopefully? Video? Please? Looks like we're live. Let me make sure everything... Now you need to say something so
I see.
Hopefully?
I see a live thing on our channel.
Okay. Video? Please?
Oh.
Looks like we're live. Let me make sure everything... Now you need to say something so
I hear myself in the stream.
Okay.
So it seems like things are working. I'm going to tweet it out.
I'm going to share the link in the requisite places. No, down here. There we go. God, it's been forever. I'm forgetting how to do it. All right. Need to change that. It is not season, or it's not episode. It's not 7 through 9. Or no. What did we read? 9 through 10 through 14?
10 through 14.
I truly, Cole, you're gonna be driving the boat on this one. I know you always are, but it's been so long since I read these.
Yes, I know. So I think my notes are good enough.
Oh, I forgot. This is the one that ends with Arla Fett, isn't it?
Yes, it does. Yeah. Yes, it does.
Okay.
Vet.
Wow, Torch is here so fast.
Torch.
You must have just happened to see the tweet. That, or maybe you get the notifications. I don't know.
I sent a tweet early to give a little bit of forewarning.
Oh, well.
As soon as I got confirmation, we were going like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and send out a tweet.
I was gonna say that was bold. That was bold. We hadn't talked.
So there was like a 30-minute window there that we actually had like put it out in the open.
That never happens.
It doesn't happen very often that we get
I think the
premonition of it.
I know. I think the annoying thing is for listeners, not for us. Doesn't affect me at all. Is the fact that it's like, yeah, we're still recording on Wednesdays, and like this entire book, or Mondays, but I think this entire book has been recorded on Wednesdays.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
You just gotta be watching the thing. The YouTube,
record as time allows.
Yes, exactly. And unfortunately, for the last few weeks, it just simply has not allowed.
Yeah.
I'm having some issues here. Okay, pop filter. Whatever, good enough. There's a pop filter on the mic. Twitter and YouTube notifications. Good Lord. Good fan. Okay. It's nice to know we've got some real ones out there. You ready to start recording locally? Because I am.
Yep, I am good to go.
Cool. I'm recording. I hear Shizor's theme. I see waveforms. Let's clap. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. I've got some really harsh lighting. I'm going to see if I can fix that.
Oh yeah, I forgot to turn my lighting on.
Is that better? How's this? This is kind of fun.
It's ominous.
It is. But
Execute Order 66.
If Allison walked by and saw me doing this, she'd be like, "You've got to turn a light on." I don't care who's watching. I know it's all nerds.
Just make the light blue and you look like a hologram.
Ooh, that's an idea. That's an idea. Let me see what I can do with that. Let's see what I can do with that, and then we'll get the show started proper.
And just add some like crackle effects and everything, and it's like transmission incoming.
You're overestimating me. I can make the light blue, and that's about where it ends.
That's fair.
And even then, that'll probably be too little. I'll probably have to do something else.
Yeah, you know.
I don't know. I kind of like this vibe. Orange. So we got like Bespin, Cloud City. Now we're Thrawn. In my head, this is Thrawn blue. When I see this light, I'm like, oh, this is Thrawn blue. You know, I'm gonna do it this way.
Cool.
Let's see. Well, yeah. All right, let's clear that clip. Okay. Oh God. Okay. Stream is up. That is up. I can't tell if my stream is lagging or if it's what's going on, or if it's just no. Everything looks good. So, Torch, I'm counting on you to let me know if things start getting weird, because I'm getting some stream delay,
some jank,
some lag. I mean, what do you see, Cole? Does everything look fine to you? Like, does it look like it's moving smoothly? Because to me, it doesn't look like it's moving that smoothly.
Looks okay.
Okay. I think it's because I was moving stuff around. I think I just need a new processor. I think I'm just trying to do too much crap on this one computer. or this processor that was, I think, a couple years old when I bought it, and now I'm running, because technically Windows 11 isn't supported on it, but Windows 11 is out. I'm gonna get Windows 11. You know, the problem
I do
is
not
like
have Windows
the
11.
problem is you buy a new processor. If you're buying a current processor, 9.9 times out of 10 you're buying a new motherboard. So it's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, so I just have been on the fence. I did just spend too much money on video games too. Because I've got this new Xbox, and Best Buy was
obviously.
Best Buy was like, hey, we're having a sale. So I picked up Soul Hackers 2, which is a game, a JRPG I've been wanting to play for a while. Far Cry 6 was on sale for $15. And I know those games are a little tired, but I heard this one was doing some new stuff, trying some different stuff, and I always loved the classic formula. So I'm like, for $15, Giancarlo Esposito? I'm not passing this up.
It's kind of hard to be tired if you haven't played all of them.
I know.
So, like I haven't played a Far Cry since 2. So
they're very
way behind. And I loved Far Cry 2.
Far Cry 2 is incredible. It's one of the few games I didn't get rid of when I got rid of my Xbox 360 games. Not few games, but it stayed, because I like that one a lot too. And then 3, I played a lot of 3. I played all of 3, and I played all of 4. 5, I intend to go back to. But the thing is, I feel like... Hi, Mogo. I feel like if you're playing a lot of those open world Ubisoft games, you're going to get bored of it. But yeah, like you said, it's like I haven't played one in forever.
Get me burned out if you didn't play them.
Exactly. I haven't played one in forever, so I'm playing Far Cry. I'm like, this is sick. You've given me 2 of my favorite rifles in the very beginning of the game. Like, literally, you've got the FAL and then... like the M14 analog, like right after that. And I'm like, I could use these 2 guns for the rest of the game and feel okay about it. And I found a freaking actual sniper rifle, like right away. I'm like, this is stupid. No, Mogo, this is my hologram lighting. Not a spooky ghost story. But
he's preparing to be Palpatine.
Yes. I also picked up Bravely Default 2 for Switch. And then
nice. I've heard good things.
I have 2. I'm excited. I haven't played the first one. It's on my 3DS, but I was just kind of going through a phase where I was playing my 3DS. I was playing Pokemon, and that's all there was to it. So, and last but not least, I did obtain Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
I need to get back to that, because I picked up a... Is it on NES or SNES?
SNES.
SNES. Okay, I picked up both the minis back then.
Yep.
And I started playing that one for the first time because I'd never played it before.
I
really liked it.
It's so funny.
I mean, because it's a spiritual predecessor to Paper Mario, which I love.
Yes.
So I played it. I was like, oh, this is Paper Mario. I dig this a lot.
There is something, I don't know what it is. There is something about that game. I did not play it when I was a child. I did not have a Super Nintendo when I was young. But there was something about that game that hits me with the strongest feeling of nostalgia, and I don't know what it is. Especially because it's a super late Super Nintendo game. It's super late. It's like, I think 96, which is of course when the N64 came out. But very excited to have that. I was, I got it for under $100, and I got a little bit of extra money. So just somewhere.
Just do it.
Found it. Yeah. So I was just like, I'm just going to do it, because it's only going to get worse, because retro games have been getting worse and worse since the pandemic, and the stimulus checks, I think, were the worst thing to ever happen to retro gaming.
Everyone's like, ooh.
There is a
disposable money.
I think this is in the episode, since we've done for so much of it, so I'm not going to say exactly what the subreddit is called, but we'll say it's a crappy game collecting, but it's it's a little bit more explicit.
Sure.
And it's just people posting stuff of like people selling Gen 1 Xbox 360s for like $150 because they think they can get away with that sort of thing. And so speaking of bad things happening to retro game collecting, it's a very funny subreddit, because people are I'm just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? There's someone in my local Craigslist selling an Xbox Series S that's like all dirty and someone's written on it in Sharpie and it looks like it's in some sort of murder basement. And I'm like, in what world are you not cleaning it up before you post the picture? I'm listing it for $250. You can get a new one for $250. I don't know, man.
Just no awareness.
Nope, just one of those things that's I get too worked up about it. But anyway, welcome, listen up, library patrons, and welcome back to Obroa-Skai Walkers. I'm one of your librarians, Ben, and I am joined by my fellow librarian, Cole.
Hail.
Oh, it's time. It's time. It's been too long, but life gets in the way. We're adults, and honestly,
apologies, everyone.
Yeah, I'm over feeling bad about it because I want to have this out every week when we're doing a book, but like I said, we're adults. Cole's 30. I'm almost 30. You should be thankful we're doing this at all. I'm kidding. Please keep listening.
Over 30.
Yeah. Oh, right. I just forgot. Like when we did Skyhoppers last week, and I was the youngest person on the call. Just didn't. I'm never the youngest person. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
When we meet up with that volleyball group, there's sometimes I'm there. I'm the oldest person. I'm like, this feels awful. What have I become?
Well, I know we've got some listeners that are a little older than we are, so we could still be the young bloods in some context. It's all context dependent. How you doing, Cole?
I'm doing pretty good. I do have a little bit of a cough and a hack, as it were. So I will try to mute myself whenever that comes up, but
do your best.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Any particularly egregious ones?
It's not very persistent, but it is there.
That's where I'm at, actually. I think for me, it's been the weather. My coworker said there was some kind of like fungal bloom. I don't know if that's BS or not, but it sounds like it could be true.
Yeah, it got really warm these last couple of days.
Oh yeah, for me. And it's funny because the northern
it's like 85
part,
degrees today. I was like, what the heck?
Jesus, it's not that warm here. It was it was like 65 today. I worked outside for a little while. It was warmer outside than it was in. And tomorrow I think is actually going to be really nice, like 68, sunny.
Oh, that sounds glorious.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where it's like, well, it's February, but if the world's gonna die some sort of terrible heat death, might as well enjoy it. Not much I can do about it.
67 degrees right now.
I don't know. If it were me, if I was living alone, I'd be sleeping with the windows open tonight. But I'm not, so I will probably have to close them. Anyway, we're talking about the weather again. One of my least favorite accidental recurring bits on this podcast, and it seems to happen with
the ties that bind us
some degree of frequency. But I'm glad you're doing well. I'm doing well as well. We'll try to not to cough too much. What have you been up to?
I mean, not a whole lot besides work, even though I've been very busy seemingly. I don't know, it's weird. We had some electrical problems in the house that we had to deal with, unfortunately, and I'm honestly not positive they've been fully resolved. But
do you do you work on that stuff yourself, or do you call somebody?
I mean, I help. I don't, because I do have some electrical knowledge and experience because of my generator experience.
Yeah, the generators.
I don't really get into it myself. I'll open the breaker panel and look, and I've got a multimeter, so I can it's like, okay, there's power coming out of all the breakers, so the breakers are good, and that's kind of where I stop if I'm doing it myself.
Exactly.
Or if it's a single plug isn't working, then I'll take the plug off and
yeah,
put the tester on. Okay, it's getting power, so I guess the plug's bad. That's the extent to which I'll take it.
Anything more than that,
call
you're
the landlord.
Yeah, I'm calling in the big guns.
And call my old boss, who's my friend, that can that's an electrical, he's an electrician. Have him come over here and take a look at things.
Man, it must be nice to be connected like that. None of my friends could do anything like that. I don't think they're all skilled in different ways. We'll say. Not electrical engineering is not their forte, but I hope that clears itself up. I'm glad it does. I mean, selfishly, I'm glad it did not interfere with the podcast.
Likewise. Praying it doesn't interfere, because part of the problem was the area affected was the wall the router was plugged into.
Okay, I spoke too soon. I've spoken too soon.
But like I said, it hasn't been giving us an issue, but I'm still just like, we fixed it, but it seemed like we didn't really do anything,
Oh, so
like
you're
in the end. So it's like,
yeah. Just
like I trust my friend because he's an electrician and like knows stuff. I'm pretty sure y'all were just kind of like all goofed up when you were diagnosing the problem, and
okay.
and so it's fixed. But I'm still like in the back of my head, I'm like, I feel like it's gonna rear its head again because this is an old trailer house,
Yeah.
and it was wired by somebody, the previous owner of my landlord. So he doesn't have any idea how the wiring.
Yeah, it could be anything.
Yeah,
I mean, you could be seconds away from death.
yeah, exactly. You know,
I mean, hopefully that's
that'd
not
be
the
traumatic.
case. It would be traumatic. I would, of course, not be able to release this episode. Or maybe I do.
No,
And just call.
you needed to release it. Depending on, I mean, if it didn't go for like another couple minutes, but if we were mostly done, I think you should do it.
I just have to call it the one where Cole dies, and everyone's like, "All right, whatever." He's joking
Whatever.
around again, and it's like,
No,
this is
Cole died.
Cole died. This is the last episode of the podcast. I
You
don't
didn't finish
know.
the book. I'm so sorry.
It's one of those things where it's just like I've thought about that before. I'm like, if one of my co-hosts suddenly just died, would I
do you
continue
do?
the show? I think I would have to stop. I don't think I could.
Yeah,
I don't think I could continue.
it would at
thankfully,
least be a significant break,
yes.
at the very least.
Yeah, I
But
thankfully
it's
never
like,
listened to a podcast where one of the hosts has died. So I that's hopefully a situation that I and nobody else ever has to deal with.
Mm.
But anyway, weird downer note.
That went
Sorry.
morbid.
Yeah, it is. I shared some news with you, and I'll share it with the listeners as well. I've started watching, at least, kind of slowly, watching Star Trek The Next Generation. And you told me that apparently the first episode of the series has a mixed reputation.
Yeah, it definitely. I mean, I think nearly all of the Star Trek series have a reputation of. It's like it takes a couple of seasons to really find its groove,
Sure.
and TNG is no exception.
Sure. Now,
Like, there's probably only 2 or 3 like standout episodes in the first season, I'd say. I mean, there's important ones. I mean, the premiere episode is really important to the grander scheme of the show because Q is, one of the ongoing threads of the entire thing. But, I feel like as an episode, it's like, it's pretty mediocre. Like, maybe shouldn't have been 2 episodes, like we talked about a little bit before. It's like, there are definitely way better Q episodes coming.
Right. It's, I enjoyed
Though
it.
the next one is not great.
I enjoyed it. I found myself actually enjoying it, but I think what it is the show just has a vibe. It's, when did it air? 89? Is that when it started?
87 is when it
87. Okay, that was what was in my head, but I thought I was wrong, so I shot it up to 89. There was something about
87 to 94, I think.
It's got such a vibe, and I'm just like, even if it's not objectively, what I'm watching is not objectively great, you just kind of lose yourself in the fact that you're watching old TV. And it's just like, there's something fun about that.
I'm definitely with you there. But, there are definitely people who like start TNG, in the beginning, and they're like, this is the show y'all are talking about? You're like, give it a little bit to grow.
It takes
some time.
If it's not like Breaking Bad, I feel like it's very unfair to judge a show by the first season, like that's not, as long as it's TNG not terrible.
And all the Star Trek shows leading up, I mean, TNG and DS9 at least, they were really interesting, like production-wise and like release-wise, and they were first-run syndication shows.
Right.
Like they didn't air on their own network before. Yeah. They just sold them to other networks, and so it had a really like broad release across wherever, basically, and so it had a very big cultural impact just because of how widespread it ended up being. Then I think Voyager's the one that they launched UPN with.
Sure.
I think that's what they did.
Okay.
And then
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. I don't know very much about UPN beyond, Star Trek being on there for a little while.
But I'm enjoying it. The second episode, I do have a question. Don't worry, this is not a Star Trek podcast. This is not this will not be a consistent thing. Second episode. The Tsiolkovsky something, the ship where everybody gets drunk on and dies. because of
Is that the one you're talking about with Tasha and Data?
yes,
The Naked Now or the
the
Naked
Naked
Time?
Now,
I forget
yeah,
which one.
Naked Now.
Because it's a sequel to a TOS episode.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. Was like,
Yeah.
did this truly happen? And it sounds like it did because they were, James T. Kirk, the old Enterprise, all this stuff, and I thought that was kind of fun. But I also was kind of like, well, okay, they solved it in the original series. Kind of weird that they would just do it again, like literally just do it again.
Yeah, and I don't even know if that episode is like particularly well regarded or anything. Because I think the one in the TOS is the Naked Now or the Naked Time. One of them is one of them. I don't remember which one's which, but I don't know if it's a particularly good episode either. But it's very strange. But
Odd.
they immediately hit you with the premiere episode. You have McCoy showing up, and then the second episode is like, oh, this is a sequel or follow up or redo of the original series episode.
Yeah.
Okay, we're leaning hard into the nostalgia.
Yeah, that's how it felt. But to me, it's weird because normally when I watch something that leans into a nostalgia thing, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. It's like, but in this case, I'm like, huh, what? That's something.
You don't really have the nostalgia, so it's like, huh. And I don't even know at the time, because 87. I don't remember which of the movies had come out by then. I feel like they were maybe like to the third of the original series movies. I think
the 4 came out. Did 4 come out in the early 90s? Am I making that up?
Look it up.
Well, okay.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
Mogo's got a question that I can't speak to. I mean, I guess I can speak to with some degree of what's the word I'm looking for? Authority. Mogo's asking. He's only seen the 4 Star Trek movies, being Wrath of Khan and the Abrams ones. Can he just pick a series or start from the beginning? Does he have to start from the beginning? I have watched episodes of the original series. I have never watched the whole thing. I think I've seen Into Darkness. I know I've seen Star Trek 2009. I might have seen all 4 or the first 4 original series movies. But I am not well versed like at all. And I think since so much time passed between the Next Generation and the original series, the Next Generation is written with that in mind, that they're trying to draw in a new set of fans.
And
so
as much as we just talked about, the nostalgia stuff, they deliberately actually kind of steer away from a lot of that. Like they deliberately, like I think nearly, probably for a couple of seasons, like there's no Vulcans in the show, like at all. There's not a Vulcan on the crew. They deliberately steer away from that kind of stuff, do other things, and Picard is very much like kind of the opposite of Kirk, and they steer away from a lot of the things. Like it's like, oh, you think you just do the exact same thing again, and that's not really what they do. And it's way more of an ensemble than the original series was, because they're really just Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, and the other ones are like Scotty's like the 4th most important, and then the other ones are really just like bit players.
Right.
Okay. So the original series movies, the first one was 79, then Wrath of Khan was 82, Search for Spock was 84, Voyage Home is 86, Final Frontier 89, and then Undiscovered Country.
Okay.
So by the time, the first 4 had come out before even Next Generation started.
Okay. Dang. Right. That seems that fits with my mental model. But anyway, Mogo, I mean, you could just start anywhere. I mean, not honestly, in like the middle of the series or something, but
yeah. I mean, honestly, you could start some of them in the middle of the series and it wouldn't matter.
Well, we watched that episode of Deep Space Nine at Robert's house.
We watched a random episode of DS9 and it's like, oh, it's just a great episode.
It was just a good episode of TV. Yeah, you don't even need to know, because it's like so frequently it's like Monster of the Week, right? It's like it's a weekly episodic thing. You can just pick it up wherever. And as long, especially
DS9 is really the only one that really, the first one that leans into the serialization stuff. But even that is, it's still 90s serialization.
It's not like
it's not
now.
Crazy.
Yeah. Torch says his advice to anyone getting into Star Trek is to not watch the 79 movie. That is consistent with other advice that I have heard.
Or if you're gonna watch it, you should seek out the director's edition, because it is a better cut of the movie that is sleeker.
Well, see, it's hard
It has
too.
some of
'Cause
the fat trimmed off.
well, what's wild is you have that movie where, people are saying, maybe you don't watch this one or don't start with this one. And then you have Wrath of Khan, which is considered one of the greatest sci-fi films of all time. So there's such a huge gap between the two of those in terms of quality. And it's just like, how does that happen?
Yeah, and honestly, I grew up with just the TOS movies. Like I didn't watch any of the series growing up because I didn't
Sure.
have them, but we had a box set that I still have of those original series movies.
Yeah.
And then over the years I got a couple of like VHSs. Like I think I had on VHS. And then just a couple of TOS episode ones too. So I saw it occasionally when I was with grandparents or at my friends.
Sure.
It was, on some network. I was like, oh, I catch a Star Trek episode. And then in like 2002, 3, and 4, I caught a little bit of Enterprise as it was airing. And that was something that me and my brother tried to do, but the channel that came in, we were, backwoods with an antenna. It was one of those channels that didn't come in reliably.
Sure.
So it was Star Trek night. We would pull up the TV and pray that it was working.
Hope the wind is blowing right so you can catch
or like,
the
it's like,
particles.
Dad, could you go outside and turn the antenna, maybe get it to work? That was a real thing that happened. And
There's only so much
sometimes
you
it was
can
like half. It's good enough. We'll watch it.
Yeah, man, that was how it was at my grandparents' house sometimes. So I didn't have quite the same experience, but I've been there. But yeah, it's good. It's don't get any ideas. It's never going to replace Star Wars for me. We'll never even come remotely close. But it's nice to broaden your horizons a little bit, especially
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll drop off as soon as The Mandalorian comes out. I'll just start watching that episode. That episode will come out. The first episode of season 3, which is next week, I think.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
It's wild.
Dang.
It's
I just realized
so
we're gonna have
soon.
Star Trek and Star Wars at the same time. I'm sure it's
Two
happened.
Star Wars at the same time.
Oh my gosh, we're just starring all over the place.
Oh, that
The
is
stars are great.
That is an episode title if I've ever heard one. Starring
Man.
all over the place.
But before we get off of Star Trek, I do want to
Yes.
briefly talk about the Picard show that has started this last week. It is the 3rd season of the Picard show, which is a rival. It was always a weird show because it was bringing back Picard specifically. In the first season, also brought back a couple of characters in smaller roles, but it was mainly just Picard, and it was vastly different than any other. Like it wasn't like TNG really at all.
Yeah.
And it was, I'd say it's a mixed bag as a first season. Like there's a lot of stuff that's in it that's really, really good, but it's one of those, it's like, I really feel like this could have just been a movie and it stretched out over 10 episodes and has to fill the space, and it's introducing a whole new cast of people. And it's like, it's admirable what it's going for. Like when it lands at the end, like the big moment it's been building to, it totally lands that. So for me, it's like, it's a win, but getting there was a pretty rocky road in places.
Sure.
And then season 2 is almost identical in my mind as far as that goes. Like season 2 is nearly the same, and both of them have like strong starts, and then the middle kind of gets, I'm not sure what was going on, and then it lands as like, oh, that was a great moment, guys. It really felt like that was the moment you wrote the show for. And then getting there was like, well, we've got to fill 10 episodes, so. And then season 2 specifically was produced during like post-COVID restrictions, and so that was definitely a factor. So season 3 has started, and it has jettisoned all but like one of the new cast from the first 2 seasons, which they did like kind of set up in the end of the second season.
Okay.
They produced them back to back, so it wasn't like a surprise, but it's still really strange. And they've also jettisoned the opening like title sequence that the show had for the first 2 seasons.
Oh.
The opening music has totally different end credits now. It really feels way more like those TOS movies structurally and like how it's presented. And for me, that's an absolute win, because that is like fundamentally that is my Star Trek at the base level.
Sure.
But
would you liken
weird.
Would you liken the change in like production, like title cards, credits, all that stuff, to something like the last 4 episodes of season 7 of the Clone Wars, where it's like things are buckling down, and we are just gonna cut the fat out, give you what's important.
Yeah, it kind of does feel like that. I didn't make that connection, but you're you're not wrong
Sure.
on the comparison to that. Yeah, so it's really strange, and they're bringing back the entire original series or Next Generation. They've only introduced like 3 of them in the first episode, but I think it's great. I think it's a really great opening episode. Oh, this is really. The other 2 seasons also had really good beginning episodes, so I'm also reticent to get hyped. But the big thing that's keeping everyone's hopes up is that like a month ago they sent out screeners for the first 6 episodes to critics and like fan sites and stuff, and the reviews have all just been like glowing about the whole thing. So
that's good.
No one knows how it ends, but
it's good getting there.
But the thing is, the endings haven't been the problem. It's been the getting there. So if the getting there is good, I'm reasonably hopeful.
Yeah.
And it is like I said, it's just such a strange thing. It kind of reminds me even of like if the prequel trilogy was like episodes 1 and 2, and then the next one was Rogue One or The Force Awakens. Like tonally, like the way it shifts and like it's like, oh, we were doing something completely wrong. We need to go back to basics.
Right.
It's really strange. And I don't know how it's going to feel watching it as a series, like as 3 seasons.
Right, because you think they've done some major course correction. You think it's not just a matter of like this was always the plan, but also maybe that was the plan.
It might have been the plan from season 2 on, but season 1, I mean, they've had a different showrunner for at least season 1 and 2. Like there was a shift from showrunners after that, and then my understanding is that the first 2 or 3 episodes of season 2 were written and produced by this one guy, but then production on season 3 was starting and he left to do season 3 and he was on it for the whole time.
Okay.
So okay. So this is the guy, and he's a veteran. Like he worked on Voyager and Enterprise, and he's been around for a while.
Okay.
So
cool.
I'm very optimistic. Like I said, it hits the TOS stuff, like style and everything, super hard, and I'm like, oh, this is my wheelhouse, way more than Next Generation, DS9, as much as I love them.
Well, I hope if the rumors I'm hearing are true, you aren't too bummed out whenever you get the episode 6 and you find that Dave Filoni has a surprise writing credit and Ahsoka shows up.
It's like,
since it is like Clone Wars. It is like Clone Wars.
Oh no.
Hey, dude, World Between Worlds. This is you know I hate this as much as you would.
I know.
It's a crossover and terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But hello Tom and Fetmatic, you've joined us in the chat since we've been chatting.
Yeah. He just said the Neo Constitution class. So the main ship of the show that we've been introduced to right now is Neo Constitution. The original Enterprise was a Constitution class. And it is extremely riffing that original series look, or the movie look of that original Enterprise, even though stylistically with the ships we've seen in all the shows so far, anything like them. And it's like they're deliberately like in all the notes and stuff on it. It's like, oh, they're deliberately harkening back to this like older design to whatever. It's like, and I'm like, I love it. It looks great. I think it looks amazing, but also I'm like, I know what you're doing. I see it. I see your nostalgia bait.
And you just don't care. You just don't care.
It's got me in its grasp.
Well, that's hard. I can't
deny it.
There's no shame in it. I think the only time there's shame in it is whenever you don't like what they're doing. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's definitely how if I'm being honest, that's where I'm at.
And as much as the first 2 seasons were like not at all like Next Generation or really, there was tons of nostalgia stuff in it, for sure.
Yeah.
Like the first season revolves around Data pretty significantly, and the second season revolves around Q significantly. So it's not like they weren't doing stuff before. But...
Well, I mean, that's kind of the nature of TV now, isn't it? Like nerd TV is, I mean, with the exception of Marvel. I mean, Marvel seems like it's by and large doing new things. Star Wars can't seem to quite get away from the nostalgia stuff. At least in some projects, obviously they're different things, but it's just the way of things. So it's kind of right now, it's just a matter of whether or not someone's doing it well. And it sounds like Picard might be. So now, is that something, since you said they're bringing the TNG cast back is that something you'd recommend watching TNG first? Obviously you haven't seen all of the season, but
yeah, it really is like building on the TNG stuff pretty significantly. And, as much as it is cutting ties with the first 2 seasons, there's also stuff in those that is worth experiencing.
Sure.
So, but if you're watching them and you're not feeling it, fair enough. You could probably just skip to this and enjoy it just fine. But yeah, I don't know what you'd get out of it if you weren't already invested.
Sure.
I
Well,
really don't.
which, I mean, I think that's fine because I don't remember what the series is called, but there's the other one we watched an episode of, the new one. The new
Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds. We watched that and it's like, well, that's if you've got your new stuff in that, you've got Lower Decks or whatever as well. You've got all this stuff going on.
There's so much variety of Star Trek
that's
stuff
what I mean.
coming
I think
out
it's
right.
totally
It's
fine
really
to go back
great.
to something like Picard is doing. And I mean, honestly, I hear Patrick Stewart talk and I'm like, I love this man. I love this guy so much. And he's just such a, because Wesley Crusher is maybe the worst character in all of television history. I hate this kid so much.
Aww.
I hate him.
I know a lot of people hate Wesley. Shut up, Wesley.
And exactly. And it's just so funny to me to hear that like Patrick Stewart is, again, he's this like this powerful stage, like classically trained actor, and he's like, shut up, Wesley. Like, I love it. So I'm always down, like, I'm interested in Picard for that alone, because I do like his presence on screen, even before, as you've said, he's fully developed into the character. Yeah. I think he's great.
And my understanding is that behind the scenes, even Patrick Stewart was really like stuffy and like takes it really serious for like the couple of, and then the cast broke him and became a good like the rest of them.
Yeah, it's funny
because there's so many bloopers for Next Generation that are so good.
Because I can't even imagine, like, I don't know, like, LeVar Burton. I can't imagine, in a good way, I can't imagine LeVar Burton taking anything too seriously. He's such a cheery guy, and I don't know, Brent Spiner, that guy has to just radiate good vibes.
It's so funny because Data is like so the opposite of everything Brent Spiner is.
Really?
Like, he is this super just like goofball wacky dude, and so Data is like so against type for him, and it's really great.
I think that's probably why it
there's
works
episodes
so
where
well.
you episodes you get to see him like cut loose because weird things happen to
Yeah.
it. You meet his evil and he gets to ham it up. That's a thing that happens. And Brent Spiner, and no joke, he has played, man, it's got to be like 7 or 8 different Datas or Soongs, or because his creator is also played by him.
Oh my god. Okay, so
he has an evil twin, and then there's a third one that's in one of the movies, and then his ancestors are also by him. And we've met 3 or 4 of them. It is so funny.
So it's
every
like
time Brent Spiner shows up, it's like, oh, there he is again, and he's doing something new.
It's like
a scientist now.
Yeah, he's like, it's like a Deep Bradley Baker situation where he's playing every character in the show.
Well, I think it's either late season 1 or maybe season 2. It's the episode where you like kind of get all of Data's backstory stuff, and you meet his creator, and I think you've already met Lore, which is his evil brother, and all 3 of them are in the same scene playing each other, and it's all Brent Spiner. And I'm like, I don't know how you filmed this and kept it all straight. And it is, it's the classic, doubling effect of, any TV show has done it.
Yeah.
But doing it with 3 characters, and they're all in like, different elaborate makeup and stuff. It's like, it's wild.
Yeah. It's
I love it. Like I said, Brent Spiner is hilarious. The cut loose.
Yeah, he seems good. He seems good.
And I was telling Ben earlier, listeners, if you haven't ever seen, now it's left me, Night Court. From the 70s or 80s. I don't remember. It's from Brent Spiner guested on it. It's like a kind of like a sketch comedy bit, and I think it's actually got a revival going. I think I saw that at my parents at one point. I was like, oh, it's even got some of the original people back.
Oh.
And I'm really praying that Brent Spiner makes a return, because I will so eat that up.
Tom is confirming.
Tom says it's in the 80s.
It's from the 80s. Yeah.
So just look up Brent Spiner Night Court, and you will not be disappointed. It is just glorious, like 5 minutes of him just hamming it up so bad. It is glorious.
He seems funny. I'm excited to get more of Data. I just think, and just all the memes about Riker too. Every time he
Oh,
even looks at a woman, I'm like, you know. uh, yeah, I don't know. It's funny,
and he
and
doesn't get the beard to the second season.
I know, It's
He's
very
babyface in the first season.
throws
It's
me
very
off.
strange.
Yeah, Tom is backing up your Brent Spiner Night Court praise, so maybe that's something that's worth looking into.
Yeah, like I said, it'll take you like 5 minutes to see the one bit that I'm talking about. It is so funny.
Okay.
I look it up every now and then. Yeah, have you seen the Riker tier vault yet, Ben?
No.
So sometimes when he sits in a chair, he steps over the back of it to sit down. There are YouTube compilations. They're like 10 minutes long of him doing this. And the thing is, it's so casual. Like, he does it so casually and like not, you don't notice it.
Oh my god.
Like, you look up a video, you're like, this is in the show? And it totally is, and it's really funny.
Oh my god, that's the
'Cause he is
funniest thing I've heard all day.
he's a really tall dude.
Yeah.
Jonathan Frakes is huge, and I think he had like some back problems, so I think that was actually part of it, is that he was
You couldn't
like
sit down.
circumventing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for that. If you're like
Dude,
he's walking into the ready room or something,
that's so
he'll
funny.
he'll just casually step over the back of the chair and sit down. You're like, what? It's kind of like that video of like the people like passing the basketball around, and he like steps into the middle of it and walks away. But if you're focusing on the basketballs, you don't even see it. It's kind of like that. It's like that's not the focus of the scene, and so it just passes you right by.
Wow. I'm gonna have to
But
watch
once you
for that,
notice
then.
it,
I'm gonna have to watch for that. That's wild.
like I don't know when exactly it happens, and it's not like every episode.
Yeah,
but there
yeah.
are compilations where you can watch every one of them.
Oh, Tom says he's put it in the Skyhoppers Discord, so I will be definitely
There we
watching
go.
that.
There we go.
As soon as we get off. But
Champions all.
I hate to stop the good
We have
times.
digressed a lot. Sorry.
We have been talking about Star Trek for the last half an hour.
It shouldn't be surprising with me on the show.
No, and I jumped into it, and I think there's probably a lot of overlap in terms of our fans, and they probably like Star Trek as well in a lot of cases. But
I hope so.
I will say, in terms of Star Wars, I
think
finished
I just blew Mogo's mind too. Oh my god, I just looked it up.
Oh, I'm so excited to watch this. Because the show just, last thing I'm going to say, the show has so much more humor than I thought it did.
Mm-hmm.
I always assumed the show would have this, just be kind of stuffy and, a little dry
And
sci-fi.
It definitely can be that sometimes, but there's a lot of humor in there. And man, Trek, like comedy Trek episodes are like a lot of times some of my favorite. Like there's quite a few episodes that are deliberately like comedy stuff, and
Yeah.
I eat it up. Some people don't like it, but I just eat it up.
Well, see, and that's the thing too. I like being kind of a lot of times in like on Tumblr, I used to see people reblogging like fandom posts and saying or commenting and saying, I don't go here, but like that's kind of how I feel about Star Trek, where it's like, I don't go here. I have no predilections. I have no baggage. So I'm hoping that I also vibe with the comedy ones, because if Star Wars did a comedy episode, I'd be like, ugh, I don't think I like this. It'd take a lot to win me over, because
and it's weird because like comedies in general, not my thing.
Yeah, I believe that.
Like I don't tend to like sitcoms, like comedies, like most like the big comedies you would talk about. I haven't seen, I don't care to see. It's not my jam. But you give me a Trek funny episode, and I'm like, hit it up, man. I will just put it on. You give me what's our man Bashir from Deep Space Nine, or Tinker Tailor, Dr. Spy. Those are just glorious riotous episodes that I just eat up. And I can't really speak to the Orville from the guys in the chat, because I literally like caught a couple of minutes of an episode once on live TV somehow, and I just don't vibe with the humor. It was season 1, so I know it's supposedly got a lot better, but Seth MacFarlane's not my cup of tea generally. But I've heard nothing but glowing things about the show, honestly.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat, but I'm kind of with you, Cole, where it's just like I've never given it a shot, so I'm not going to comment too much on it, but I've never felt compelled to watch it. But anyway, moving on to Star Wars, where we're supposed to
Indeed.
be, bringing it back in. I finished my book that I was reading for work, and of course, our book club meeting got pushed back a week. So, could have definitely
All that work for nothing.
Yeah, could have definitely read some other things in the meantime, but whatever, it's fine. So I was in the classic case of, well, Allison's going to sleep. I've put off coming to bed, so I can't read with the light on. I have to read on my phone, which means it's Star Wars time. It's read a Star Wars book. So I'm like, well, I've made my peace with the fact that I'm nearing the end of the Young Jedi Knight series for my first ever complete read through. So I'm like, I'm going to pick up Crisis on Cloud City, and have actually had a lot of fun with it. Not because I think it's a particularly strong entry, thus far. I feel like post Diversity Alliance, I feel like I'm not quite as hooked. The first 6 books with the Shadow Academy, I think it's the first 6. Those books, I think those are definitely the most solid ones. I think those
it's
are
like the core story that you really care about.
Yeah, and really you could stop there probably. I think the Diversity Alliance stuff is cool too. But it's funny because Dakota and I talked about this on Skyhoppers a few weeks ago, how young adult as a genre is a fairly new thing. It's a fairly new genre.
Yeah, I remember y'all talking about that. I did listen.
So wow, yeah. So these books definitely, like, compared to something, from 10 years ago, like The Fault in Our Stars, quintessential YA novel, or something more recent, like Into the Dark, those books are definitely written at a higher reading comprehension level, sometimes if only just, but at a higher level than these Young Jedi Knights books. A lot of people consider these to be young adult. I think they're closer to middle grade than YA.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they definitely...
Yeah, I haven't revisited them in a long time, but that would probably be how I'd feel about it too.
Yeah, and that's not even a value judgment. It just is what it is. So I'm reading Crisis at Cloud City, and the first thing that I think is funny that I want to point out, I've met Anya Galandro, who is the daughter of someone that Han might kill.
It's a great deep cut.
It is a deep cut.
It's such a good deep cut.
Which
I like
is funny
because
I met her and then I read Han Solo's Revenge and I'm like, this is the guy.
This is the guy.
It's the guy. But of course, Han Solo didn't kill him there. So, I don't know exactly what's going to happen. But anyway, she's addicted to spice. And so I'm reading Crisis of Cloud City, and this is very clearly being set up to be the drugs are bad. The drugs are bad, like after 90s after school special entry in the series, which I think is kind of funny.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But also, Kevin J. Anderson is having the time of his life in this book. He is having the time of his life because I just had a thought. I read something. I don't remember what it was specifically. I think it might have been the Sky Rodeo. There's a Sky Rodeo that happens in the first third of this book, like right after they get to Cloud City with Lando. And I'm like, hang on a second. It's 11:30. I literally get out of bed, come into my office, get the Illustrated Guide to the Star Wars Universe off my shelf, which is the book, for those who don't know, that Kevin J. Anderson wrote that's really just world building about a lot of planets we see in the original trilogy, and I think of some Coruscant's in there, so even ones that we don't actually see. And it's interspersed with a lot of...
got some Alderaan art in there as well.
It's interspersed with a lot of Ralph McQuarrie art. He does all the art for it. So it's like... It's actually really good. I think it's really good because it's a lot of...
I've had that one for a long time. It's great.
It's him just being able to do what I think he does best, which is his world building. I think the even if I don't love everything he does, the fact that he puts so much thought into everything he does, and it shows through in like Saga of Seven Sons. He just talks about all these details, and I'm like, you thought about that? That's crazy. So I went in, I go to the Bestman entry in the Illustrated Guide to the Star Wars Universe, and sure enough, there's something about the Sky Rodeos. And then,
of course,
there was something else I saw too that I confirmed was in that book as well. And I'm like, this dude he is living it up, and I'm here for it. So I've had some fun with that, and don't get me wrong, it's still a good book. I'm still enjoying it, but it's just hard because the Shadow Academy arc is just so good, and it definitely feels like this is the story those two wanted to tell, and then they were like, "Oh, we can do more," you know.
Mhm.
And it's
Or the whoever was doing the publishing, like, hey, this is doing really well. Y'all should do some more. And they're like,
okay,
cool. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, we'll do it. We have an
yes,
idea.
especially
Absolutely.
because it seems like, all right, you've got those first 6, and then you've got the Diversity Alliance and the Hunt for Born and Thul. And then it's so far it seems like Return to Ord Mantell and the Crisis of Cloud City. Anya Galandra seems to be the only through line on those.
My I've got the Sci-Fi Book Club compilation of those, and I think it's the Shadow Academy, Diversity Alliance, and then I think the last book is called Under Black Sun. I think.
Yes.
I think that's what they consider like the art.
And actually, that makes sense because there's this character that Anya is clearly tied up with that we have not really met. So I think there's probably, that makes sense. There's probably just some stuff I've not quite gotten to yet.
Yeah, I know the first 6, like you said, they're way more well regarded than the later books. So but definitely had less ideas going on.
That said, Black Sun, I love me some Black Sun. Love it. One of my favorite West End supplements is Secrets of the Seesaw Run, because it focuses so heavily on Black Sun. And one of these days, I'm gonna get the Shadows of the Empire source book. One of these days. It's always just a little bit more money than I want to spend on it.
Yeah.
But I've got the Planet's Guide and I've got Secrets of the Seesaw Run. Just like, either buy it for me or kill me. One of the two. That's where I'm at this point with that. But that's what I've been up to. I'm enjoying that. I mentioned on Skyhoppers too that 2023 is the year I want to catch up with canon. Because there's only a couple things I haven't read and could definitely get through them all by the end of the year. It's just a matter of finding time. With we've got Battle Scars is coming out soon.
It's right around the corner.
Yeah, that one's coming out soon, and then we've got the Inquisitor book that's coming out this year, and it's like, well, canon doesn't stop, hasn't stopped, and both of those are things I'm very interested in reading, and we'll probably pick up as soon as they come out, or read as soon as they come out, rather, because we're broken, we pick them up as soon as they come out. That's kind of a given. But then High Republic, Cataclysm comes out next. I don't know, about a little over a month and 2 weeks or something.
Not too far off.
Yeah. Not too far off. And that one I'm excited for. I talked to Dakota a lot about that one. But yeah,
and presumably we'll have a bunch of book announcements at Celebration.
Hopefully, Celebration is.
Because I feel like the book calendar is like pretty sparse right now.
It is. Hopefully the publishing picks up after Celebration, because I guess take a drink. Pre-celebration lull. There, I said it. We're definitely firmly in the thick of that. We did get some news though today, I think, or yesterday. The next celebration is happening in 2025.
Yep, we're taking a year off,
which is
probably wise.
Which is wise. It's also weird that they would announce the when and not the where. I'm sure they'll announce the where at the end of celebration. The end of the celebration, as they always do. But it does make me wonder why they announced it, that they were taking the year off now. I'm not gonna.
I always wonder about those, like when they announce that kind of stuff. Is like maybe it was about to break in like the leak community or something, and they just wanted to get ahead of it or something.
Just put it out there.
Just stay on top of things, maybe.
Sure.
You never know.
Yeah, it's because it seems just. I don't know. I'm for one. I'm hoping it's in the continental U.S. I really hope it's not in Orlando. I really would love to not go back to Orlando, but it is what it is, and I guess we'd hit up Disney and all that, assuming I could. Like, I did just kind of luck into a badge last time, so we'll see about that. Anyway, other news, not a ton. Mando's coming out next week. We already talked about
Mando's
that.
next week, which is kind of feels weird.
That's insane.
Because like February's about to end. It's like, oh yeah, because it's short. And
did you
Jedi
watch
Survivors continued to have some coverage?
Yeah. Did you watch today's Bad Batch?
I have not. I did not have time for that, unfortunately.
It's such a it just, for some reason, I keep thinking about episode 5, the Indiana Jones one, because I'm just like, why was this one so lackluster? Because they can do the episodic just thing of the week episode and make it so good. I just,
So you really like this one?
yeah, this one was good. I thought there was Moga saying, damn, I see how it has been. I don't even know what he's talking about. Oh, never mind. I know. I know why I won't dox him, but I know why. But yeah, I thought this one, obviously, you know, not like the best episode of the show, but it had a lot of heart. We had a couple good tiny tech moments, some good wrecker, just like all of the characters diversified a little bit. We got very little Hunter, actually. It was good. This one's good. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I wanted to have time today. It just got away from me.
Sure.
But I did hear that one of the characters in it, one of like the guest characters, was voiced by Yuri Lowenthal, who, if you don't know him, he's a pretty well-known voice actor, but the most prominent thing people know him from is the Spider-Man game. The PS4 Spider-Man game.
Oh, okay. Who is he in that?
He's the voice of Peter Parker in that. Like, he's Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
He's very, very good at Spider-Man, and he does a lot of voice work stuff. So, you know, he's a relatively big name in the voice acting community, at least, which is cool. I don't know which character he was playing because I don't know anything about the episode besides he was in it.
Speaking of voice actors, I'm going to take a slight diversion here into Clancy Brown territory. So I know I'm not going to see any resistance from
Clancy
you.
Brown.
I was playing an old video game, and I can't remember which one it is, but I am like 99% sure that Clancy Brown is doing one of the voices. So I've got to figure out which one that is.
Would not surprise me one bit because he is all over the place voice acting wise.
And he's so, you know, he's got such an iconic voice.
He's got an iconic voice, and he's also got good range in that, like, you know, he's done really serious stuff. He's Mr. Krabs. I mean, you know, it's he can do comedy, he can do serious. He's not just a voice actor. He does you know, live action stuff as well.
Yeah, he's Montross in Bounty Hunter.
Savage, obviously, is one of the big ones, and
yeah,
Governor, what's his face in Rebels? He's like the former governor.
Ryder Azadi.
Yeah, Ryder. Yeah.
Maybe I was watching something. What would I have been watching?
Oh, he's also in Star Trek.
It doesn't shock me.
Surprisingly, I think he's only in the one episode. It was an Enterprise. It's one of those ones I'm kind of surprised that it took that long to show up.
Sure. Maybe it was I think it actually might have been, I think I was watching a Did You Know gaming video or something about
a game.
About PS2 games, and Jack 2, Jack 3, and Sly Cooper were all featured, and he does voices on all of those.
That's so makes total sense.
It's so odd to me that he's in Call of Duty Black Ops 2 as Strike Force Soldier. He literally plays Mr. Krabs, Lex Luthor, and like he's a respected
He's like
actor.
just a grunt.
And it seems like he's just a grunt. Very weird. But
yeah, a lot of the voice actors, they do that kind of stuff. You know, I'm sure they just like, hey, can we get you come in and just do some, you know, some bark lines that'll, you know, be in the game.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's an easy paycheck.
Yeah, maybe maybe someone knew him because obviously he's worked everywhere.
You know, worked with somebody else on the game before, or, you know, someone called in a favor, like, hey, can you come and do this? Oh, yeah, whatever.
Oh, I wish I could.
Presumably the voice actors, people love doing that kind of stuff. Presumably.
Yeah. I wish I could remember what
it's like nearly any time I'm watching a big blockbuster movie and there's some animal, you know, creature in it, I'm looking at the credits, I'm like, is it D. Bradley Baker? Dang it, it is. So I feel like he was in like so many movies, because I know he was in Suicide Squad and I forget, there were several of them. I'm like, he's the creature, isn't he? He's like, yep, he totally is, because that's just one of the things he does. And I'm like, is that like a super easy gig, or I don't know. I don't know how that works.
Oh, he's only 64. I would have assumed he was
Clancy Brown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have assumed he was older.
I kind of would have thought he was older than that too, honestly.
Yeah, he's He's a good actor. He's one of the great character actors, probably. I think he's all
Oh
over the
yeah.
place. But anyway, he popped up and he's got that voice, so I knew it was him. But
Yes.
yeah, so we're kind of in a holding pattern as far as news goes until April. What are
Yeah.
those dates again? It's like second weekend,
The 7th through the
something
9th?
something like that.
For Celebration?
Yeah.
I think it's like the 7th through the 9th or 10th. I
Okay.
think.
Okay. Dang, I'm not ready. We'll probably get some movie news.
So it's probably, is it Friday through Monday? Probably.
Yeah. Do
Yeah,
they usually do it through
7th
Monday?
through the 10th.
Do
So
they
maybe
usually-
just the 7th through the 9th if it's just 3 days. Because that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay, I'm sure someone in our chat's gonna pop in with the dates here in a minute, so
Mhm.
we'll wait. I'll just wait for that.
Yeah. Have you watched any of the? I think we talked about this a little on Sky Hoppers, but have you watched any of the Jedi Survivor coverage at all?
I haven't watched any more because it's one of those things, like you said, they're being so tight-lipped about all the
Mhm.
story and stuff that I'm just like, I'm gonna buy this game. I think this game's gonna be great. I am just, especially like with work, I've just been too busy during the day when I'm
Yeah.
at my computer to seek this stuff out. And I'm just like, I think about it
Totally.
sometimes, and I'm like, oh, I'll do it after this thing, and then I got caught up, and I'm like, well, it's not that I'm not interested. I think I know deep down that's like, it's not gonna
I'm
affect
getting it
anything.
anyway. It's not.
Yeah, it's not going to affect anything. That's honestly kind of how I've been with, like, I see on Star Wars Newsnet, I see like the TV spot for the Mandalorian, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't
I'm
care.
like,
Give me the show.
I don't
Give me
need
the
to see
show.
it.
Give me the show. Tell me
Mhm.
when the show's out. That's when I'll care.
Yeah.
That's what I want
totally.
to see. Because they're not, I've just learned, they're just, if it's not like a big announce or kind of like reveal promo trailer, they're not going to give us anything. And I've been out
No.
on TV spots for a long time.
Mhm.
Since like I remember The Last Jedi. You remember people got really mad that they showed Rey with Kylo's lightsaber in the TV spot
Yes,
for
I
The
do
Last
remember
Jedi.
that.
It's just like, it doesn't, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, if there's nothing else, I mean, is it time?
We should probably get into it.
Is it time for you to remind me what happened in these
Well,
chapters that I
we have
read
to do
3
it. We
weeks
haven't
ago?
done an article.
We haven't. Cole, I'm not ready. Stall for time.
Hey, just hit that random button and let's just do it. Whatever.
All right,
it is.
if it's Legends, we're gonna do the first random one.
Yep. We're in.
All right. Spin the wheel. Ooh. Well, that's Legends. Kind of a bummer.
What is it?
I don't know what it is, but it's ugly as sin. This article is entitled Venomator. Venom, ATOR. Starts with a quote. With state-of-the-art defensive, offensive, and subterfuge weapon systems, the Venomator is the last word in reducing your enemies to a pile of smoking chump. And that is said by Clawfish. The Venomator was a highly advanced starfighter designed by the Geonosian engineer known as Bog. That explains the uggo-ness. Here, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to drop this in our YouTube chat so people can just go ahead and find it that way. Just a reminder, we do stream this on YouTube, and we've been doing it consistently on Wednesday. We say we're going to record on Mondays. It's been on Wednesdays recently, but follow us on Twitter or subscribe to us on YouTube. You'll get notified when we go live.
The quote on the comic panel is so good. The Venomator, the last surviving creation designed by the infamous, now incinerated, Geonosian engineer, Bog.
God. It's this. I don't know where this is from.
Oh.
I'm gonna assume this is Star Wars Tales. That's my called shot. Let's see.
It's not.
We have a characteristic segment. This beauty, it's a quote. This beauty is loaded for bear. A lot more than bear, actually. Some weird italicizing in these quotes, and I'm very curious.
It's probably because it's comic bubbles, and they're trying to like give the emphasis and stuff.
Sure. Yeah, I assume there was a reason. I wasn't gonna just go in and change them. But that quote was said by
that quote is in one of the pictures on the article.
Oh, okay. That is said by Torn Zork, who appears to be a Faline because he looks exactly like Shizor and wears the same clothes.
Nice.
The Venomator was equipped with state-of-the-art defensive, offensive, and subterfuge weapon systems. Are you freaking kidding me? It literally says that above. It featured laser cannons that could shoot in all directions, missile launchers, as well as heavy laser cannons sticking out from the rest of the ship. Sounds like a bit of a... Did a 14-year-old design this? Uh-oh. Wait a second.
Ben, it was Bog, the infamous Geonosian engineer, now incinerated.
History. This is a quote, actually. Ahsoka Tano to Kit Fisto. This weapon is too dangerous to be set loose. Thank you, Ahsoka.
Classic Ahsoka line.
Very, very insightful. The Venomator was the last
Typical
surviving
Jedi incompetence.
The Venomator was the last surviving creation of the infamous Geonosian engineer Bog. Sometime after his incarceration, the Venomator was owned by outlaw Tech Clawfish, who planned to sell it to the highest bidder in his black market operation on Kalos. In around 20
now incarcerated. I thought it was now incinerated. That's so much worse.
They're both good.
It's good. I think incinerated is better.
Yeah, like incinerated by his own massive, overpowered laser cannon. Sure. In around 20 BBY, Jedi Master Kit Fisto and Padawan Ahsoka Tano went on a mission to Kalos to prevent the Venomator from falling into the wrong hands. However, the illegal auction was interrupted by Torn Zork and his soldiers, who claimed the craft. The theft of the ship would have earned Zork serious support, as he was planning on making a power play for control of the Black Sun. Good luck, buddy. The Falline's efforts were eventually foiled by Dark Acolyte Asajj Ventress, who killed Zork and destroyed the Venomator with her lightsabers, since he was deemed too unpredictable to be allowed to rule. This appears one time in Under the Hammer, which is a comic in Star Wars Comic 6, which definitely looks like a magazine centered around the Clone Wars, probably for younger readers.
Nailed it.
Star Wars Comic 6 is the 6th issue of the magazine Star Wars Comic. Volume 7 of Star Wars Comic UK, weird. Published by Titan Magazines, came out on May 29th, 2014. It's a stub. Not a lot to it. It's just, anytime I see these Clone Wars characters on the cover of something, I'm like, that's for children. Right? Like, is that a reasonable assumption, you think?
I think it is.
And it's like, there's nothing wrong with this. I'm not trying to say, like, it's objectively a terrible thing. Just, you know, you look at the art, and it's like, yeah, it's not bad. It's just, it has that feel of...
My first thought when I saw the picture of it, I thought, oh, is this from the Gindi-inspired animated one? Because it kind of, like, art style looks like that, too.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I do. Anyway, that's our random article for the week. The Venomator.
They can't all be winners.
They can't all be winners.
Now incarcerated.
But Mogo says the Acolyte is about a time-traveling Asajj Ventress. I'm going to leave that right where it sits, and we are going to go ahead and move into chapters 10 through 14 of Order 66 by Karen Travis.
Yep. I have transitioned to
Cole
the
has
position
assumed
where I
the
read my
position.
notes. Alrighty. So, kicking off with chapter 10. If you'll remember where we left off quite dramatically.
Oh, right. Yeah, we did.
With poor Kal Skirata getting his face pummeled by Dar after the revelation of his secret. It's pretty heavy.
Just destroyed.
But it's all cool. They embrace. It's all good.
Yeah.
But it's still just a heavy place to end things.
Right.
So, chapter 10, our opening quote is Jaster Muriel, legendary Mandalorian, defending the mercenary ways of Mandalorians. And then I love that the quote is like, quote taken, or quote, originally from 10 years before he was betrayed by
one of his mercenary buddies.
One of his trusted associates. Like, not sure what context that exactly means, but it's funny.
Now that's Jango Fett open seasons, right? Probably.
I think it has to be.
Yeah, where he's
I'm not super familiar with that story beyond it being good.
It is good. It is good. I don't remember it super closely either, because the problem is it's a comic, so it kind of comes and goes so fast. But I do remember thoroughly enjoying that story.
It's one of the ones that always gets cited. So, yep. So we are in the Arca barracks on Coruscant. It is still 990 days after the Battle of Geonosis. It's been 3 hours since the confrontation, and Zay is on the warpath.
Yeah,
because he saw Cal and was like, "What the heck happened?" And I love that it's all Scorch POV, and he's like, "Val, what have you done?" I was like, "Hey, man, we had a difference of opinion on something, and I had to show him the error of his ways."
See, that's so Val. Like, you still want to hate him, but like, he's covering.
He's totally covering, and I love that he has the moment where he's like, asks Zay, he's like, do you feel the dark side on me? He's like, no, actually, you feel quite serene. He's like, that should scare you.
It
There's
scares
darkness
me.
right under your nose, and you
Yeah,
don't see it.
you
It's
don't
like,
notice it.
yeah, Travis, we're aware. We're aware.
We know what's happening.
Lots of foreshadowing. Lots of foreshadowing. As we are edging ever closer to
Oh my
0
god.
hour.
I know, we're like right there.
Yeah. So Val claims responsibility for the whole thing, and also this is after Jilka got arrested. That whole operation that covered for Bethany. So everything's cool. It's like, hey, Cal's not a traitor, but you've also kind of told him the error of his ways as far as like taking resources he's not supposed to have and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like that won't be happening anymore.
Yeah.
Because he's a trillionaire. He doesn't need to take anything anymore.
Yeah,
It's all true from a certain
he
point
didn't
of
lie.
view.
He didn't lie. He's not taking anything anymore that doesn't belong to him.
Yeah. And then Val, being just the stone cold, just awesome dude that he is, just straight up is like, hey, so what is it? RDS, security agency that's got Jilka, the like Homeland Security people.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
They've got Jilka. He's like, hey, I'm gonna want to bust her out because I don't trust anyone's interrogation attempts but mine. We're gonna get the truth out of her. And he just asks Zay straight up, like, hey, will you like sanction me to get her out? He's like, yes, but no. You know, if you get caught, obviously I'll deny it, but do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. And he's just like, oh, we're just gonna solve this problem and just get official permission for it.
Cool. Him and oh shoot, who was it that was Mariel, or was it Mariel who's doing the hacking and like
Yeah, and he's
they
just
barely
like,
skate by and
hey,
makes it
I
worse.
should just like hack into the Q out drive yards, right, and just check everything.
Yeah.
Like yeah, do that. Just so brazen. It's
These
so great.
Mandalorians. Hey, that's what Han Solo's saying in this is before he's Han Solo, I guess. However you feel about that. In Most Wanted, his mantra is when in doubt, brazen it out. And that's the only difference is they're not in doubt. They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
These guys are on top of it.
An absolute certainty. Just like, no, it's gonna work. I know it's gonna work.
Fine. It'll be fine.
Man. And I love it, Scorch the whole time. The whole thing is from Scorch's POV because that's how a lot of these chapters are. And he's just like, man, that was just crazy. Completely just off his rocker, but amazing.
Yeah.
And I love that we have this ending moment. Scorch remembering one of the first things that Val ever told him. He's like, everything I do from this point on is to make sure that you survive, even if I don't.
Yeah. Wonder what that
and
means.
like that's the bit in like all of Val's men. The loyalty.
Yeah.
It's in there. It's been baked in from the beginning. They're aware of it, and they're like, it hurts, but it's because he cares. It's like
very problematic. Incredibly problematic.
Yeah, it's problematic, but it's so interesting.
It is interesting. It's interesting.
Scorch reckoning with it. It's like, yeah.
Well, it's just really, we're just kind of heaping onto the trauma these clones have already experienced. So
much trauma.
What's a little bit more, right?
What's all the trauma? More? But thankfully, Val's like, hey, Scorch is like, hey, do you want us to help you with this extraction? And he's like, no. You guys can't be involved in this. It's too political. It's too Black Opsy for you guys, even.
Yeah.
So y'all just rest up for your Kashyyyk deployment, and I'll take care of everything. So don't worry about it.
Got the cover, knowing not they're still hiding everything from the Deltas, even though that's just, it all falls right into place.
Setting up Republic Commando the game, the final act.
Right, the last bit of that,
where they are on Kashyyyk, and we get some of that here. It's one of those ones I'm like, I'm pretty sure this particular moment isn't from the game, but it's easy to imagine it being.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Mandalore. Jusek preparing to leave. He's leaving a day earlier than he planned on, and that's upsetting to Fi because Jusek is always a man of his word.
Yeah.
But he's also like, this means it's very, very serious. So
whatever it is,
clearly things are getting out of hand, and so he insists that he go with him. I'm ready. And Parge is like, I'm not gonna step in. Obviously, I don't want to go. I care about him. I don't want him to run into danger. He's a man. He can do his own stuff. And as Jusik said, he's like, you're totally like above average as far as dude, a regular dude goes. You may not be clone good yet, but you're better than average. And so he's like, you can't really stop me. And so he's gonna go.
Yeah.
He's gonna go. And so before they go, he asks Parja to marry him, and they just do it on the spot because that's how Mandos do it.
Yeah.
It's happened like what, 3 times now?
Yeah, I think so.
Etain and Ordo and
now
and we didn't, and I think Elisima too, but we didn't see that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just Mando's getting married all over the place. It's beautiful. You love it. Love to see Phi being happy.
You love to see it.
Yeah, but before they can make their exit, they are compromised because Sol and Spar, they tracked them. They're ARC troopers. They're the best of the best, and Jusik got a little bit sloppy.
Yeah.
But thankfully, even though they kind of want to kill Jusik, also like, we really kind of want to get in on that aging thing, that fixing thing. That sounds really good. Sounds really good. And I love that Jusik's like, hey, we would never deny that to any clone that asked for it. But if you want to come with us, we'll put you to work, man. And so immediately he's just like, yeah, come on. And Phi's like, you're crazy.
These guys were going to kill you. And
they were going to kill
me.
you. And then,
yeah.
And there's like, oh no, you're on our team now. It's like, oh my gosh, our little ragtag band is growing so fast.
Well, it really is. It's been growing, and now all of a sudden, it feels like it's exponential. Like the Scarada clan has spread out so far when you think about all the people that are involved in it in some way, shape, or form. Like I would even consider Val part of it at this point. It's like,
oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's just
he's in.
Yeah. Well,
maybe
in
the same way or to the same degree, but
yeah, he's been in, but
he's a part of it.
Yes.
Him and Scarada have their differences, and they don't agree all the time. But fundamentally, they still care about their men, and they want what's best for them.
Yeah.
And, deep down, that's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough. So, yeah. So, Jusik, Phi, Sol, Spar, all headed to Coruscant, and his arrestor fighter. And it's like, well, these guys are crazy, but I love that Jusik's like, hey, they're with us. They're not out talking about where we are.
Yeah.
It's like, at least we can watch them, right?
Yeah.
A problem contained is a problem solved, kind of.
They're very dangerous.
Yeah, indeed. So, good stuff. Good stuff. And then our last bit is Cal brings Darman to Etain and Cad. And they have just a nice evening as a family for once.
Yeah.
Just a wonderful introduction, a proper introduction to his son, and then just playing and taking pictures and just doing what a normal family.
And I'm sure nothing bad's gonna happen.
No, nothing bad could possibly happen in this book called Order 60. There's no traumatic events coming. No one's in danger at all.
Dakota is catching up with, friend of the listener, Skyhawk, friend of the
podcast.
podcast.
He's all be like, oh, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, he's catching up with 000. He's all the way back in 000, and he got to the point where Cad was brought into existence, we'll say, and was suddenly very on board when he realized,
like, what? They did the, oh my gosh. Suddenly very interested. I didn't know you could do that in Star Wars.
Well, I don't know. It happens here, and then weirdly in the Black Fleet Crisis, which I've talked about before. I just very not that it's weird inherently, just the fact, I don't know.
And we also kind of see it in the Gindi Clone Wars. We see the moment.
I guess we do.
We see Anakin go to Coruscant, and the window and the light go out.
That's true, and then 3PO strips in the cloak, and
oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I want to say it's becoming more commonplace, but that's not true. Most of the things we've mentioned were at least 20 years old.
So. It's true.
So
this book is almost 20 years old, I guess.
Oh my god.
Because I remember when this one came out.
Hard Contact was 2004, I think. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Too bad I can't
this
remember.
Was like 2006 or 2007, yeah. I think.
Too bad I can't remember anything new, and that all my brain is caught up with the Star Wars Legends book release dates.
Just filled up your brain and
Yeah,
took
there's
up
no
all the
room
little
for
spaces.
no room for anything else. Green Day lyrics and Star Wars book release dates.
It's the only thing that matters, man.
That's all I've got.
All right, chapter 11. Our quote at the beginning is an anthropological study of Mandalorian insults and how, rather than like most species whose insults tend to be about like your appearance or who your parents were, that kind of stuff, Mandalorian insults are almost like how practical you are if you're stupid or unclean.
Yeah.
All these like practical things because they don't care about who your parents were because they adopt everyone basically. And they all wear helmets, so their appearance doesn't matter
No,
at
it's
all.
irrelevant.
It's really an interesting, just like, oh, huh, interesting.
Yeah.
Just tiny insight into Mandalorian culture. Man, Karen Travis just gives us all these little wonderful
All
insights.
these little bits, and it's just things that probably never come up again or never important again. But yeah, I don't know. So those are. I'm always excited to read the little chunk, the little quote at the beginning of the chapter.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just a fun aside like that. Sometimes it's relevant.
Sometimes
it's really relevant.
It's like Palpatine talking about how someone's getting too close to the, you know what I mean?
You're
Talking
like,
to it,
whoa.
talking to his hands.
Yeah, and you're like, oh. Kim and Doriana, is that you?
What happened to the anthropological studies? I liked that better.
Suddenly this got very real, and I don't like it.
I'm not a fan. Yeah, I think it's very funny.
All right, Bethany's apartment, 999 days after Geonosis, so it's been a day. And Bethany is worked up really badly because of what happened to Jilka, because she feels very responsible. She's getting arrested and tortured or whatever's happening to her because of what I did. She got implicated because of things I said, stuff that happened with me. She can't help but feel guilty, and Ordo's kind of like, he's trying his best to be understanding, but Ordo's not the best at that.
No.
But he does pretty good considering, who he is.
Well, realistically, Bethany's probably the closest thing we have to a point of view character, like like put yourself in this person's shoes character, because everyone else has had such a different upbringing, right?
She is basically normal person.
Normal person who feels
not a Jedi, not a clone, not a Mandalorian, just
is not
an accountant.
Is not trained to detach in any way.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's brought into this and has no way to reckon with the fact that she has ruined this person's life, her friend's life. So
yeah,
I don't blame her.
At this point, can't tell her like, hey, we're planning on maybe extracting her or silencing her,
right?
Because we can't afford for her to link it back to us even indirectly, just because she knows a little bit too much,
just enough
to maybe be dangerous and say the wrong thing, maybe even unintentionally.
Yeah,
and we've got to do something about this. It might be very uncomfortable. So then already,
yeah.
So yeah, but then knock knock, it's a Gerlanen shapeshifter in the house.
It always feels like all the air gets sucked out of the room when a Gerlanen shows up, right?
It really does.
It's like, oh, this is really not good. Especially now when it's like we're not supposed to see them again.
Right, yeah. And this is one of the last times I believe. It even says like at the very end, like Valak will like disappeared out the vent and vanished forever or something like that. Yeah. So this is the last time.
Yeah.
At least for this particular one, I'm pretty sure. But anyway. So Valaquil is like, hey, Scarada kept his word, so we're keeping our word. Don't need to get out like ASAP because things are about to get really bad. Timetable and everything is coming close. And that correlates with everything they've learned, but having the most inside information is very useful.
Yeah.
But so it's like, hey, y'all get out, and we find out that when they're the ones that implicated Jilka just to buy them some space. And weirdly, it's like it was good, but also bad because like of all the people you could have implicated, Jilka kind of did have a connection.
Yeah, and it's the thing. I don't know. I definitely do not get any sort of altruistic vibes to them. It is literally a transactional experience for them, and that's it. Mm-hmm. But I feel like Jilka, it was partly just because, it's a bummer that they implicated her, but at the same time, it's like she's just the least common denominator, or the lowest common denominator. Mm-hmm. She's right there. It's easiest, and all they're trying to do is keep their word and get this specific group of people out. Anyone else is whatever.
Anyone else, screw them.
Yep, screw them. Collateral damage. We do not care.
Cal was the only one that kept their word and did what they said they were going to do. So we'll keep to our word just like he did, and that's it.
That's it. And it's just a very true,
mission
neutral,
accomplished,
lawful, neutral way of looking at things.
Mm-hmm. And you can't really blame them.
No,
can't really blame them.
No,
much.
They've had their planet, completely ravaged by war and occupation and all this stuff. Like, I get it. I do.
There's a connection even with the shapeshifters to Deep Space Nine. if you know Deep Space Nine, you know connection stuff.
Sure.
Wouldn't surprise me if Karen Travis is a DS9 fan.
Wouldn't surprise me either. I don't think you don't get
of
to
all
write
the Star
Star
Treks,
Wars.
I think that's the one that she would love.
Yeah, and
all
plus,
stuff.
you don't write Star Wars and Halo books, I think, without having some sort of love for Star Trek somewhere. You know?
Totally. Yep. So Palpatine preparing his endgame. Valaquil is out. Things are coming to a head, and we go back to Lacima's. Cal and Val are discussing Joka's situation, and but Cal's definitely leaning towards we need to save her. Kind of our fault. We need to protect our own, even if it kind of sucks and putting ourselves out there. But he's more morally right, and Val's like, the sentimentality is gonna get us caught, man. We gotta cut him loose. And of course, then Ordo and Bethany walk in, and that kind of seals the deal for Val. He's like, I can't do that.
I can't. Yeah.
I can't look at her in the eye and say we're gonna assassinate her.
Which
I don't have the heart for that.
Because I feel like if any of our buddies in the Scarada clan here could do that, it would be Waylon Val.
It would be Waylon Val for sure. But Cal's like, he's too much of a softie. He can't do it.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
He can't do it.
He's a good dude.
Yeah. But Bethany's like, she's out. She brought her stuff. She's not going back to her apartment. She's not going back to her job. This is her exiting the stage as a player. She's going to Mandalore. Be secure, hopefully. Things are, like I said, things are getting dangerous. Things can only get worse, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, for us knowing. Of course, they think things are about to get way better because they're about to desert from the GAR. Like, they're about to live their best lives and work on only getting this aging thing sorted out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and now and of course, we are just not even asymptotically approaching destruction because we will cross that line. And we know it's coming, and it's so painful. That's why I've just been so maybe that's why I felt so frustrated. Like at work, little things have kind of really been annoying me. And I think it's because I've built this up. I've been carrying this around with me for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I haven't had any sort of Hey, this is my fault too. We're both to blame. I just don't think I've had any sort of resolution, and I'm just sitting here stewing over Order 66.
Yeah, because all this is just it is just a simmering pot that is going to boil over.
Oh my god! And it's just the worst thing is what's going to happen. You just don't know how it's going to happen. But whatever.
We know what's coming. We just don't know how it's going to affect.
We don't know how it affects
specific characters.
I know it's not going to be good. That much I do know.
Yeah. So now they have to rescue 3 people from prison. They've got Joka and Rue and Dr. Uthan.
Yes.
Just so many things to do.
Yeah.
So, well, might as well do one more. Thankfully, their team is getting bigger, so they have enough resources to do this.
Yeah.
So that's the plan, more or less. Spring them all at the same time, and hopefully it all works out.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's all they can do, but they kind of do need to get Joka soon because she's in custody. Chance she might say something, get them caught.
Problematic.
So,
yeah.
So they're actually gonna try to do their exfil right now, because Galactic City an hour later, they're doing a prison transfer. They just do it because they've got intel codes. They've got all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And it's just almost like comically easy for them to make this prisoner transfer and hijack them, mid transfer and take her prisoner.
And now I think there's a meta element to that. That's just like Karen Travis is like, this is not what these people care about right now. I think she's like, I could cut this way down and make it really easy on them, which it is. It just kind of goes off flawlessly because that's not.
It's all these minor victories.
Yeah, exactly.
Even your false sense of hope.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter, and I just don't.
It's like, everything's working out so good. Like they solved their problem. Like they had a complication, but then they solved the complication.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
It's all looking good. And Joko, once they capture her, she's afraid they're gonna like torture her, kill her, whatever. But then they're like, "Hey, I'm Ordo," and she's like, "Oh, huh."
That Ordo? Yeah.
And just immediately is like, "Huh." And then I love she has the self-awareness like, my life is completely screwed, right?
Like I'm never coming back here. I'm never coming back here, right?
Sorry. We kind of got you into this, and
but you're not
yeah,
in
you
prison
can't really go back.
You're not in prison or dead.
You're not in prison or dead, so it's probably better. And she's like,
Bethany's here. She's your friend. We're all friends here.
I mean, she was lying to you and got you in trouble, but you know.
But she saved you.
Y'all were chill.
She saved you.
But then she saved you.
Literally, her presence saved you because Val would have killed you. But she didn't have to know that.
Yep. So, chapter 12. Our quote is Palpatine speaking to the Clone Master, the Sparty Clone Master, on Syntax 2.
Ugh.
And he's like, hey, these clones, they don't got to be up to spec as far as the Kamino goes. Those ones have a very specific purpose. These ones have a completely different goal in mind, and they're both going to work out just fine.
And the worst thing is, I don't know exactly what he's talking about.
Oh, you haven't put it together, what he means?
Not.
Well, do you know what he means about the Kamino clones?
Are the Kamino clones the Order 66 clones?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
He's like, we cloned a guy that killed Jedi with his bare hands, and specifically surrounded Jedi with them.
I never thought about that. The Jango Fett, yeah.
He was specifically a Jedi killer. And we literally just sprinkled Jedi all throughout the galaxy, surrounded them with these men.
I hate this man.
I don't remember what happens. I don't remember if I noted it or not, but at one point it's noted that all like senior Jedi have an ARC trooper near them.
Oh.
Specifically, like Zay, like Maze is specifically assigned to Zay because he's like a senior Jedi, and
right.
Even though that Maze being there doesn't make a lot. He's such a skilled trooper, but he's just doing like office work. But he's there.
It keeps getting worse. It keeps getting worse.
It's so insidious, isn't it?
It's like she thought of every way to make this as terrible as it could possibly be. Like she's sitting there being like she darts awake in the middle of the night and is like, oh, that would make it worse. I gotta write that down.
I know how to make Palpatine even more devious.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know,
so
man.
It's pretty terrible. Great. It's like
that's rough.
Like it's because to me it's so cool because it's connecting all these dots. We're already there. Like all these little pieces have all been introduced in different EU things. She's just like string these things together and look at this web of
right. And
death that Palpatine weaved.
And she's got the time, unlike Revenge of the Sith. You know, where Revenge of the Sith we just kind of have to kind of go with it because it's a 2.5 hour movie or whatever.
And it makes you buy into the Revenge of the Sith. Like when the Order goes out, you're like, oh. It makes a lot of sense why these particular, the Jedi, like they're all separated and they're surrounded by clones, troopers specifically that are the best. And,
well, see, I think that's really interesting too. That she takes this. I would assume this is some sort of callback, as like we get the montage of Order 66 and it's terrible, and like Aayla Secura is being shot repeatedly even though she's already dead. I always hate that scene so much. But it's like we're seeing them all on these different planets, and she takes that as, oh well, strategically it would make sense for Palpatine to spread them out. And not just like, oh, the Clone Wars being fought all over the galaxy, and George Lucas is thinking about it at like level 1 and she's at like level 4. And I think that's there's something
strategically this makes so much sense.
Yeah. Who knows?
Like taking these things are incidental, but it was planned.
It was planned.
To me, this is like epitome retconning, as it were.
In the good way.
Continuity. Yeah. It's like it's not changing things. It's like additional context to all these things that were already true. It's like,
exactly. All it does is enrich what already exists, and I think that's the way to do it. But anyway, Palpatine's talking to Sparty guy, and
it's like, these clones, and we've already met these clones. They're not the great, but there's going to be a lot of them, and so they will be very effective. Swarm, whatever.
Weird. Kamino was dry as a bone when I was there, huh?
Yeah, strange, right? Very strange. We are back at Arca Barracks. It has been another month. We've
Yeah.
jumped ahead again.
Yeah.
And we find out that Zay is assigning Etain to Kashyyyk to go with Delta Squad, kind of do the same thing. So it's okay,
Whatever.
moving that over there. And then Etain assigned Omega Squad to do this, reconnaissance mission, pretty low key. Just to keep them not that far away and not. She's got that kind of pull.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, kind of feel bad, but also like, it's my husband. I'm not gonna send him into the danger zone.
What?
He's already been nearly killed. So.
Right.
But we have this very frank conversation between Etain and Zay, where he's like asking about, he's telling her, like, hey, I really want to implement your methods with the clones, like broadly with the army. Like, I want to bring it up to the Jedi Council that, your methods are way better. Having this compassion and bond with the men is so much better. And asks her, hey, what do you think about it? What's going to happen when the war's over? She's like, we have to free them. We have to do something because it's not going to be good.
Yeah, you can't just leave.
It's going to destroy them, or they're going to become dangerous. Yeah, she's already seen some of them cracking under the pressure.
Yeah, I mean, she's
with
got
Darman and Scorch.
Firsthand experience. They are highly trained men with nothing to do. They're trained to kill,
fallback,
and that's it. That's all they've got.
No personal history, no just warfare, and then the little bits they've been exposed to, which is honestly just kind of made them fester about the whole situation. At least the ones we've met, and you assume, a lot of them are probably feeling the same way.
Especially the ones who are from the initial batch or whatever that have been there for the
whole
long
time.
haul. They've been developing. They've been gathering experiences, and it's just like when you're a clone or a commando, you have more freedom, and you can make these kind of secret rendezvous and make all this stuff happen. You can't as a reg, right? Like you're with your unit, and that's all you've got.
Yeah.
So you can just sit there and fester.
And it seems like Zay's like, he's up to it. Like he's like, yeah, I think that's probably right, but it's like too little, too late.
Yeah.
And Etain's like, feels like, man, I really feel like I could stay here and talk to him and maybe get even more out of him, but I just don't have the time. I have to devote it to my family. So leaves him with his thoughts.
It's not going to matter anyway.
You feel bad for Zay.
You do. And that's what's hard is like, he's the...
I love how much they develop Zay, like, just incidentally throughout this thing.
Yep. He is the antagonist, but I personally never think of him as the bad guy.
No.
He is simply... He's
not out to harm anybody.
No, he's in the wrong place and kind of on the wrong side because he doesn't know what else to do. I can sympathize.
Yep. All right. So Etain leaves and goes back to Lysima's. Another, like, a final evening with Darman and Cad because they both have to ship out.
Yeah.
So spend what time they have together. And, and this is the moment where they talk about the ARC troopers being posted with the senior Jedi.
Okay.
It's like, interesting, because they talk about Maze when he's there and he's like getting calf and stuff. It's like,
yeah,
what a waste.
I remember that. Yeah.
What a waste of his skills. But he doesn't even seem like resentful.
No.
He seems chill, more or less.
Which is weird because the ARC troopers are insane. Remember how scary Maze is made out to be at the end of Hard Contact?
Oh yeah, he's the first one we meet, and we're like, this guy. And then even him, he's like, throughout these books, he's not a major presence, but he's always there. You see these little moments.
Who was it that decked him? I remember somebody.
I feel like it had to be Ordo.
I remember somebody, but I think it was Ordo. Just put him on the.
Like it had to be Ordo.
I don't remember the context. I just know that Maze did get knocked on his ass at one point. Very funny.
Yep. And like doesn't reciprocate or anything.
Nope.
He's like, I think I deserve that. Oh boy. So Omega's, like I said, they're being sent off to do Reese on some random world. I don't even remember the name of it. And Scrata brings in Gillimar, the doctor of the Kuval DR, and he's like, hey, I've got a surprise for you. Brings him in. There's Spar. Turns out these two have a history.
Yeah.
He was one of Gillimar's favorites, and he's the one that got him out which is cool.
Yeah, it is.
It turns out Django himself bungled him out of there.
Yeah. Oh, it was
It's
very
like,
cool.
very neat, very neat. Oh, okay. Because in Elvis Garage is like putting the pieces together. Should have known. I know better than that. Oh, well. Oh, and this is where we also, I think this is the Nive Voller. I think we met her very briefly whenever Soul got exfiltrated.
Yeah.
I think we
you're
just
right.
like
I think
met her
you're
like
right.
literally like one sentence or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And she comes in, he's one of Jang's contacts, and her and Scarada like have a little repartee there,
Yeah.
which is real.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, huh. Interesting.
Just so many pieces are coming together. And it's just,
Mhm.
how's this all going to fall apart is the question.
Yeah, and she does like smuggling and like shipping stuff, so
Yeah.
she's got access. Kuat, she's seen and stuff, so she's corroborating all this intel that.
Yes, there
But
we
it's like,
have.
okay, we have eyes on the situation, and okay, so like I said, pieces are falling together, and then after she, I kind of would like to pursue that, but also feel like I can't. It's like, oh, kind of want him to have a
Yeah.
happy ending too.
You do. You do.
And you immediately buy it, like the way they talk. It's, like, oh, it's kind of great.
It could happen. I could see it.
Yeah.
I ship it.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I just met this person, but I already ship it somehow.
Yeah.
Man, Karen, how did you do this?
How did you do this?
Yeah. But they set a date, like 1,090 days after Geonosis. That's our exit day. And it's one of those ones, I feel like when I first read this, I probably went and did the math. I'm like, where does that fall in relation to Order 66? Because it's got to be like smack on, I feel like,
Sure,
but
yeah,
I don't know.
like that's worst kind of poetic injustice.
Mhm. Yeah, so they set that as the date. Okay, that's the plan. We're gonna go, and then we go to Kashyyyk. It's another month later. Delta's doing some Delta stuff. They're doing a mission.
That's
They're
literally
fighting
like
droids on a bridge. They blow up a bridge. It's cool.
that's like the detail we get. They're doing Delta stuff. It's pretty much it.
Yeah, like you said, I don't think this is actually a mission from the game because Etain is in the game.
Yeah.
But it definitely feels like, oh, this could have been a mission between things. And I think they mentioned that they saw Grievous. I think that is in the game.
It is. I remember that
Okay.
being it.
Yeah, there's a bit where like they see Grievous and it's like, oh, Grievous, but you don't think you even get to fight him or anything. He's just there.
He's just there.
It's like, oh, that's interesting. It's like, okay, there's another like touchstone. It's like, oh, we're with the game. This is where we are.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. You're
Yeah.
very close here.
Right there.
It gives you context in the game because you don't really know in the game where it takes place.
Yeah.
I don't think, but it makes sense because the Kashyyyk front. It's got to be late in the war because of what happens with Yoda going and.
Yeah. For sure.
It makes sense. It's late in the game.
Yeah. Contextually, I think you can kind of put it together. But yeah, you don't have specifics. I don't think before now.
Yeah. All right. Chapter 13. Our quote is the last message from Dr. Nenelin to Palpatine's office. Hey, these Mandalorians came to me with some information, cloning tech. I really feel like I just need to report, get in trouble. And then the note is like, this is shortly before he disappeared.
This guy's a rat, dude.
This guy was sketchy.
I was so mad reading that. I was so mad.
Poor choices. Some poor choices.
Yeah,
there.
not that it's
one of those things like it's not made clear. It's like, did Palpatine disappear this guy or did Cal disappear this guy?
Yeah, it's not going to matter too much.
Very likely,
but I don't think it's going to matter one way or the other.
Nah.
But I think things are going to get much worse before that matters. But still, just like you stupid little twerp.
No, it's so bad. Oh, and I forgot to mention that Kashyyyk bit, that was another month later, and it was 1,070 days, so 20 days out. We're now counting down days to destruction, as it were.
Fetmatic.
And then we pick up chapter 13.
Fetmatic says, stop snitching. And you know what? I completely agree with that. This guy,
Don't be a narc.
He deserved whatever he got. I don't care who did it, but he deserved it.
Whatever it was bad. Whether it was Palpatine or Cal, both of them would have made it very painful.
Yeah, I would not want to be on the wrong side of either of those men. But
no.
Yeah, terrible.
For very different reasons, but Mm. Yeah. So, chapter 13, we are now 1,080 days, 10 days out. We're at the Cragget, the watering hole that's, basically just Cal's people in the CSF.
Right.
And he goes in and immediately something's wrong. Lasima's not working her shift. She always works her shift. She's never late. She's super punctual. And the person on shift is like, hey, Lasima didn't show up, obviously. I tried her apartment, answer. And he's like, obviously like, oh no. Immediately just books it to her apartment, gets there. It's been completely cleaned out. No sign of anyone. And he's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh. And he's like, this happened in the last 2 hours. Would have known otherwise.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh crap. So he's like, well, heads out, trying to make some contacts with people, and just immediately gets pulled over by Jawler. And is like, hey, it's okay. I got them out. It's cool. But there's a warrant for your arrest/death.
Time to get out now.
So it's over.
Yeah.
And we get a very touching goodbye between them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where he's like, hey, this might be the last time we ever see each other. So they bro hug. And then they're gone. And that's
Obram's
it. But it is very nice. It is just, it's amazing how much you feel for this guy, because he really is not in it a lot, but he's great.
No, and there's probably a lot of people that never read Odds, and it's like, he's just a dude. But yeah, he's good people, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he is a good dude, even though he's helping out these criminals, as it were.
Well, yeah.
Criminals.
I was gonna say, the only thing they're doing is breaking the law. What they're doing is morally right.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
and he's like, I can sit on this for a little bit longer, but it's already out to the other agencies, and I can't sit on it for very long because it'll get. Gotta get out of here. And so Cal's like, all right, going dark.
It's time.
Immediately just like cuts off all of his communication, and goes below the city, and then starts just broadcasting his like static Morse code signal, basically.
Yeah, that all the Mandalorians understand.
Yeah. And it's like, all right, guys, this is it. We're having to move a little bit early. Things are happening. Yeah. Oh, things are moving.
You could say that.
Yeah.
Things are about to get real hot around Coruscant, I think.
Now we're on Paul's Anaxis, where Rue is being held prisoner.
Yeah.
We have Sol and Spar and Phi and Jusik doing their infiltration, pretending to be regular clones. Jusik as the prisoner. And we have another, like, flawless prison escape.
Yeah, we do.
Like I said, just another, they walk in, it works exactly like they planned it to. Get out, it's cool. And as soon as they tell Rue who they are, who sent them, she's like, Dad?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, she cares.
Yeah.
And she's like, she is such Cal's. Like, she's just ferocious.
Yeah.
She has Mando blood in her, 100%.
100%. Which I love too, because her brother that we talked to, I don't even remember his name.
He's just like such a business dude, like lame.
Yeah, so it's like when she reconnects with Cal, assuming she does, it's gonna be
it feels like it'll actually have something.
Yeah, there'll be something there. Because Cal's gonna be so freaking proud of her. I can already tell. It's gonna be.
Yeah.
I hope it happens.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then back on Coruscant, we're in the reservoir where the AIN is held. Cal's getting up. He's like, all right, things are happening. And Ordo's there. He's like, hey, please just stay here. Don't get involved. You got a warrant out for your arrest, death, whatever.
Yeah.
And Cal's like, you know better than that. I can't just sit here while my family's all in danger.
No, he would never. Literally
He
never.
would never. So he's planning to maybe, work on springing Uthan or meeting up with, trying to do mentally calculate, like, okay, Omega's over here, the Nulls are here, and how is all this going to work logistically? Try and piece it all.
There's a million moving parts at this point.
Yeah, because there's so many people. You have to coordinate logistically. But, okay, Ordo, he's like, all right, I'll leave you to it. Don't die. Just don't do anything stupid. And he goes to report to Zay just as like a formality. Got to do this just to make sure, he thinks I'm still in the good. And he meets up with Maze, and Maze is like, so how's Scarada? He's like, haven't had contact with him. Obviously, he's like, yeah. Sure. May's
Whatever,
like
man.
not buying it one bit. Oh, and on his way over there, Ordo notices and talks to a few 501st clones that are on Coruscant
Yeah.
now. And we find out that these aren't new clones, but these are Camino clones. They are up to spec, but they weren't part of the original batch either. They were made on Coruscant with their Palpatine secret facility that they never found. Which it's a really interesting twist because it completely goes against everything we know, like Clone Wars and stuff.
Yeah. It does.
Like the 501st is
yeah,
existing
like,
forever. But
right. Yeah.
it's a really interesting thing because it's like, oh yeah, we don't see them until they show up at the temple, really. In the movie, at least.
So you said they are, but okay. So
They're Camino clones, like grown long term, full
right,
training, everything, but were made on Coruscant rather than Camino.
which also then would contradict the original Battlefront 2 campaign, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Because they fight their way off of because they are defending at the Battle of Camino.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
I think so.
Well,
It's one of those things that you could probably like twist it to make sense, maybe,
sure.
but
There's only so much you can do. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's more of a I'm poking holes for fun rather than
yeah.
trying to poke
But
holes.
it's just interesting. Ordo's like, oh yeah, these guys are still super dangerous, and obviously they've been brought in, and they don't have any attachment to anything.
Nothing. They are
pure Palpatine clones. Like, do their thing, because they have a particular mission too.
Yeah,
Vader's fist, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're marching on the temple.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So, isn't that fun?
No,
isn't
actually
that fun?
It's terrible. I hate it.
Yeah.
Can't
and
stop
things
reading.
just get worse because as soon as Ordo and Maze have their little conversation, suddenly the air raid siren goes off.
It's happening.
And at first he's like, "That's got to be a false alarm, right?" And then, no, it's a separatist fleet just appeared in Coruscant orbit,
just here
out of nowhere.
It's time.
It's time. This is happening. The Battle of Coruscant has just started, and it's like, holy crap! And then I love that both Ordo and Cal like separately like Palpatine, you sly devil. This was your plan the whole time. And they like rationalize the plan.
Yeah.
Oh, this was all just make him think Coruscant's undefended and then smash him with your secret. Makes so much sense.
Sure.
Logistically.
Yeah.
But they're not thinking of the big picture.
No, they're not.
That Palpatine's thinking about.
No.
Because the Separatists, they're his army too.
They just...
So many armies. So many armies. All be controlled by the same guy.
At some point... I'm sure this happens a lot, actually, but at some point, doesn't someone basically lampshade this, where it's talking about how they're both basically the same, and that or it says something about how they could be controlled by the same person? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like, I feel like I remember reading that.
I think Val thinks it is like it felt really profound for some reason.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, and it's just you all are so close.
It's like they're
so close.
You're scratching at the surface. It's like it's impacted on the surface.
you're right there.
It rocked the superstructure, but it did not go in.
Negative.
Man.
Negative.
Didn't go in.
What's worse, a separatist fleet in orbit around Coruscant, or invisible asteroids?
Good question. I mean, there's definitely like an existential terror to the invisible asteroids,
but also there's a very real terror of millions of people dying when a ship
a ship gets destroyed and then the wreckage just plows into the city. It's like that was a lot of people that just died.
We went very quickly from existential to practical. Practical terror.
Yeah, it's not great.
No,
it's not great. So things are happening. It's fair to say. And Val's immediately like, we should strike now.
Now's the time.
We'll never have better cover than trying to break Uthin out than right now, whenever the city's under attack.
And wait.
Seize opportunity.
I'm going to jump ahead a little.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you know it? This goes flawlessly as well.
Wouldn't you know?
They've got this perfect cover, this perfect opportunity, and everything's great. It's all going.
It's all good.
Yeah, but jumping ahead a little. But
yeah. And Zay sends out a code 5 signal just on general frequencies, and that's a recall order to everyone. Hey, get to Coruscant now.
Yeah.
So okay, summoning everyone back that can be here. That summon order does not extend to Obi-Wan and Anakin because they are in Outer Rim.
Yes.
So they're not going to show up for a little while.
Yeah.
2 starfighters, but 2 is enough.
2 is enough. We know 2's enough. That's all it takes.
Oh boy. Yeah, so they're gonna break Uthan out. It's gonna be cool. And Scarada's gonna go meet up with Lucima, Cad. But, obviously the city's just inherently a dangerous.
Yeah.
Literally, a starfighter could just crash into you at any moment.
Yeah. Terrifying.
Yeah.
Hate it.
It's awful. And it really, it's nice to have the Gindi series showing the battle on the ground to give you just a little bit of ground combat context, which is interesting.
Right.
And it's one of those things, I don't know how long the battle lasts, but it's definitely I think it's a couple of days at least.
Huh.
It's one of those things that you don't think about in Revenge of the Sith. It doesn't really matter, but the battle's been going on for a long time because Grievous infiltrated the Senate and captured Palpatine and got away.
Yeah, and that's true.
We missed a lot of it.
I guess even in canon. Although I still don't think we have that story in canon, do we?
No, I don't think we do.
Yeah, I don't. Just how Palpatine ends up on the Separatist cruiser, but neither here nor there, I guess, in this exact moment in time.
Yep. The end of our chapter is Ordo and Val heading off to do their mission, and this is like decision time. It's like, hey, we're in it for the Republic. We're in it for our clan. Clan all the way. Even though Ordo the other brothers take it. He's like, we've got to make a decision at some point. Can't dwell on all the stuff I can't do.
Yep, you can't save, especially right now, you can't save them all. You have to get better and heal yourselves so that you can heal whoever is left.
Yep. And hopefully you'll be able to retroactively save some of them.
And plus, realistically, what could you do? Go up to a random clone and be like, hey, defect with us. Desert. No clone's going to do that. No clone's going to do that.
Especially literally in the middle of a battle at the Capitol.
No, not happening. Yeah.
It's like I said, it's the perfect storm as far as, oh, no, that would not work out, would it?
No.
It's just, even clones that were like, maybe even teetering, you'd probably be like, what are you talking about?
We can't right now.
We're literally in the middle of the battle that maybe ends the war.
Talk to me after I kill this battle droid.
Yeah. Poor Fordo is just out there smashing droids constantly. No exit for him, unfortunately. But yeah, chapter 14. Our opening is the quote from Cal being like, we've got you figured out, Palpatine. This is... And we're like,
God,
you're so close, but you're so... You can't know.
How could you know? Such shrewd deductive reasoning, just completely barking up the wrong tree.
Mm-hmm. It's like tactics were a red herring.
Yeah.
Regular military tactics were a red herring. As it turns out, the guy we were fighting was the Jedi. Who knew?
I don't know, man.
So, Coruscant. We're 5 hours into the battle now. In come Omega. They've arrived, and obviously it looks like the Battle of Coruscant from Revenge of the Sith. Just crazy space.
Yeah, all over the place.
And they manage to dive through the shields, but a droid starfighter chases them down and manages to shoot them down.
Shoots them down.
Crash both of them, but it's okay. It's not one of those fatal kinds.
Yeah. Because everything's
Actually, they're
fine.
pretty good at those.
Everything's fine.
Yeah, everything's fine. No one's even seriously hurt. It's fine. It's totally fine.
Is it Darwin
and then
that
he's like stuck under the dash, and then they have to like pull him out. Then the ship explodes. Like, oof, that was close.
Is he punching or kicking too?
Yeah, he's like kicking him because he thinks his foot's caught, and like, Darwin, it's me.
It's me. It was funny. Oh. Sorry.
Disoriented.
That Katarn armor can really take a beating.
It really can.
They're all
can.
They're all fine.
They're all fine after crashing.
Fi literally threw himself on a grenade. So, I guess I shouldn't be shocked that it does anything at this point, Yeah,
and it didn't sound like it was like that bad a crash as far as crashes go, but a crash is a crash. I mean, we saw Rogue One. They crashed the U-Wing, and it's like, they're all fine. I don't think they were even all buckled up.
I guess. Maybe that's one of the more unrealistic elements of Star Wars is how often people survive crashes like that.
Inertial compensators are really good.
That's true, I guess. And they will work probably until the moment of impact.
One would assume.
So,
As long as they're getting power.
oh,
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about
You know,
that
that's
way.
probably like one of the systems that, has redundant power.
Sure.
Because you want that to be running until the last possible moment.
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Interesting.
I didn't think about that, but it makes a ton of sense.
It does. It does.
It's got a UPS power, just in case.
Got a little generator, yeah, a little battery. If the power goes
Just
out, you
in
have an
case.
hour. You have an hour of inertial compensators under most normal circumstances.
Yeah, exactly. And wouldn't you know, they crash, they're all okay, and then here comes a CSF officer. Like, hey, I saw the crash. You guys okay? And they're like, oh, Republic Commandos? You must know Phi. And they're like, you have no idea how much we know Phi. And he's like, good man. Good man.
I love that every time they meet CSF, some random CSF, it's like,
Legend
oh,
of Phi.
You guys know Phi?
It endures.
You guys know Phi? It's like people
Legendary.
that weren't even there. People that were not even at the scene are just like, Phi.
Like, this guy. This guy's great. Everyone knows somebody that he saved.
Yeah.
It's great.
Funny.
Just great. We have our very brief father-daughter reunion between Cal Skirata and Rue. And it is very touching. Very brief, but it's like, oh, the years just melt away. It's father and daughter. All is forgotten. It's all good.
Yep.
Cool.
Everything's good. I was very happy to see it.
It's all happy.
It was.
It's all happy. So happy. And then they're doing their infiltration to get Uthan out. And again, they said pretty flawless. They're doing the same act they did last time when they visited her, with Juzik being the health inspector dude or whatever, and Cal being and when they get there, and the main guy left because he was scared. So there's just like a nurse and flash the IDs.
Yeah,
like,
it's
okay,
so easy.
Just trivial. And then so get Uthan out, and I love that they tell her immediately like, we're not with the Republic. And she's like, oh,
interesting.
Like Mandalorians, like, I have a fairly positive association with Mandalorians.
Guess Hoken was a good dude, and it's like, well, that's debatable, but
I mean, hopefully he's better than the last one, but he was on my side.
He was.
And so they've got her. It's cool. And then, wouldn't you know, Juzik just can't leave because, again, here's this voice, this word. It sounds so much like Mandoa. So he asks, like, hey, who's this prisoner? Can we talk to her? Talks to her in Mandalorian, and she speaks seems like it's just like another dialect, maybe.
A peculiar dialect.
Offshoot.
Yeah.
And she identifies herself as Arla Vet.
To someone I am not familiar with at all. I don't know.
Me neither, really, beyond these books.
Okay, I don't know if this story appears elsewhere or is...
I guess it does. I don't really know.
Okay.
So, long-lost sister of Jango Fett, who was presumed dead up until this moment.
I thought you meant Jango
Surprise.
was presumed dead. I'm like, no, Jango's
Yes.
dead. Jango's gone.
Yeah, Jango's dead. Jango's dead. She was presumed dead.
Yeah.
So, they rescue her, too. More to our merry band. So many people.
Well, and plus she's, I don't know.
And she's really chill, but also she's like drugged up out of her mind. So
yeah, it's hard to
know for sure how she's actually. She definitely respects the Mandalorian language. Like, okay, there's something there. It's getting into her head a little bit, but and she was the one that he was sensed was like not insane, right?
Right.
I
one
think.
Of them. Well,
yeah.
Oh, I don't know because I thought there was another person that was.
There may have been. I don't remember if those were the same person or if they were separate. They sensed like, this one's completely fine, and then there's talking in the language he knew. I don't remember if it was the same.
I don't remember either.
We might get clarification later. I don't remember.
I actually think they're separate, if I'm thinking, if I remember correctly. So we'll see what happens. They just can't leave a fellow Mando behind, I guess.
Yeah, they just keep picking up strays no matter what happens. It's just the way of Skirata.
At this point, it's not picking up strays. I think they have officially reached like cult status. It has become a concerted effort to grab people.
It's snowballing.
Exactly.
It's like the more they get, the more they have to get. It's like, oh,
Because they keep picking up people, and it's like, oh, I was saved by this clan. I should do the same for somebody else. It's like a pyramid scheme, but not bad,
Human scheme of, saving people. It's
and
good.
belonging.
It's
Yeah,
good.
it's great. It's
Yeah,
probably
and
not really
that's
a
where
pyramid
our
scheme.
chapters leave us.
Oh my god,
Is
I know.
Arlafet,
Phew.
Battle of Coruscant, in media res, as it were.
Cannot wait for this podcast to be over so I can go read.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we still can't finish it.
No, we have
two more.
I figured we had 2 more.
Yeah, so we're doing 15 through 20.
That's 5 chapters. That's plenty of time for things to go bad, though. So just some sort of release, please.
Yeah,
that's all.
Like I said, I'm not sure exactly when Order 66 happens timeline. And the thing is, with the Battle of Coruscant going, then some time passes before, it doesn't they don't leave for Utapau the same day necessarily.
Well, it's hard because you can't base any bit of Star Wars, the timeline, the actual granular timeline of events on the movies. You just can't, because it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So I would assume you're right.
Lucas
though.
at least is good about. It's one of my pet peeves with the newer movies is that anytime Lucas shows hyperspace jump and someone's going to another planet, it cuts away to another planet back. So it's like, time passed.
Yep. And I would agree with you, though. I can't speak specifically, of course. No one can, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it does feel like, okay, they have the Battle of Coruscant, they save the Chancellor, and they're there for a while, right? Because Anakin has to get on the council.
Yeah, some stuff happens. There's at least a few days.
Yes. So but I would imagine, well, because their date is out, right? They're leaving. They're gonna be gone.
It's one of those things, I feel like they might still keep to the date, even though that seems kind of foolish at this point, right?
I don't know, because I guess they're in the reservoir, right? They could live in the
everyone's
ship
on
for
planet.
a while.
They've basically all convened almost. Things are getting close. I think Omega's still not with them, but they're on planet.
Yeah, and it might even make sense to wait till the battle dies out too, before trying to get out during the battle. So we'll see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You said 15.
The question is, you want to be on Coruscant when Order 66 goes down? Probably. It's probably the highest concentration of clones.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know where you want to be, because the clones can kind of move around.
I know where you want to be. You want to be on Mandalore.
I imagine the clones can move around with some amount of impunity, or at least some measure of it. But obviously, Scarada has a warrant for something out. Depends on the severity based on what agencies put it out, I guess. So
dead or alive. So depending on the agency, they're gonna care about one of those more than the other.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. You said 15 through 20?
15 through 20. Then we're done after that one.
I'm dying. I gotta know, but I don't want to know, because it's like, it's even harder.
And I don't know if we're gonna get to any of the crazy stuff next week, or if it's gonna wait to the final. I really don't remember.
I think too. This is made harder for me by the fact that.
Do I look? Is the question.
No, I think you shouldn't look. I think you should cling to that. Cling to the fact that you don't know. Try to relive that first time read. But what makes it harder for me is the fact that not only is this the last book with this configuration, with this vibe, because the next one is obviously Imperial Commando, but this one is also, we don't get the same amount of time with Imperial Commando. So it's kind of like, I've been talking a lot about Taskmaster, that show on one of the the British comedy show. It's got a new cast every season. I feel like I like all the casts so far, but I do feel like it's the first few episodes of every season are hard, because I've come to like the previous cast so well. And obviously all these characters aren't going to disappear, but it won't be the same. There's no way it's the same, and we only get the one book. So I'm curious. I as much as I need the resolution from this book and need to see where this goes, I'm almost more curious about Imperial Commando, because I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen with that. How that's going to feel or anything. So.
Yeah, and it's probably going to just, after we get that one done, it's probably just going to make you the little puzzle pieces that are left to have some resolution.
Yeah, I'm just, who knows? Maybe I'll just be so ready. I'll just want to jump straight into 501st. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not about to promise anything. I love being the wild card.
No.
But okay, chapters 15 through 20. This has been a honker of an episode, I think. It's because we wasted
40 minutes talking about Star Trek.
We wasted so much time talking about Star Trek. But thank you for those of you, rather, not us, who hung out in chat. Fetmatic, I know you're still here. Anyone else who popped into the YouTube stream, thank you for hanging out for however long you were able to hang out. Until next time we record, Cole, I will make no promises to when that will be. But where can people find you floating around on the interwebs?
I'm at MandoWraith on all the relevant social media platforms that exist. I don't really post on them.
He is there.
I am. I am. I'm on Skyhoppers.
Yeah. Cool. This podcast is on Twitter at Obroa-Skai Pod. That's where Cole, if nothing else, Cole's still tweeting out the YouTube links when we go live. So you can follow us and maybe even give us a tweet notification when it goes live if you really don't want to miss it. You can also subscribe on YouTube to get those notifications just straight from YouTube. We'd appreciate it. We like having the chat, especially because this show, like Skyhoppers, we do try to keep it a little more concise overall. This show, got all the time in the world, baby. We can talk about it wherever we want. So if you want to come into the chat and bring something up that you want us to chat about, we'll probably do it.
If it's in that first hour or so, we're probably gonna go off on a tangent if we have anything to say about it.
So, yeah. Check us out over there. I don't think there's anything else. I'm gonna go ahead and call this one an episode. And you know what that means. Library patrons, please make your final selections. The library closes in 20 minutes. I was in Kroger the other day, and they said over the intercom, "Hey, it's 9:30. The store closes in half an hour. Please make your final selections." And I went, "Oh, she said the thing."
She said the thing.
That my thing on the internet that maybe a couple hundred people know about in a given month. I actually haven't looked at our stats in a long time. I don't know what's going on over there. We were doing pretty good for a while. You don't imagine it's gotten worse because literally inconsistent release schedules built into the format of our show.
Yeah, it's just part of it.
So I think people just kind of come to expect it.
Vetmatic, thanks for hanging out. It would be inconsistent.
Exactly. Vetmatic, if you're still here, thanks for hanging out. Anyone who's still here, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. Choosing to spend your time late into the evening with us. Yeah, I still got a shower before I can even read.
Thankfully, I do not have to work tomorrow, so
well, I'm glad.
I get to sleep in, wake up, Bad Batch. That's the plan.
Bad Batch is good, man. Bad Batch is good. I think you're gonna like it. We've got 15,652 all-time downloads. That's a lot of downloads. Yeah, 67 this week.
Cool.
That's pretty good. We haven't put out an episode in 3 weeks now. 464 this month. I haven't really put that much attention into stats, honestly, recently.
Yeah, occasionally like people ask me, like, does the podcast like do numbers? I'm like, I don't know.
It doesn't do
anything like crazy. I'm not making money. It's not about that.
But
we're having fun.
We're having fun, and if you ask, if people ask if people listen, you can say yes.
Yeah,
people definitely listen, and it's more than just our friends.
We have like fairly regular listeners that write in and stuff. Like,
yep.
To me, that's cool.
I mean, it is. I mean, that's really at the end of the day. That's what I'm here for. But yeah, taking the stream down. Thanks for hanging out. Or thanks for watching, I guess, if you're checking this out later. I don't know if anyone watches our videos after the fact, but if you do, thanks for hanging out. And we'll see you all next time. Goodbye.
Laters.